Chapter 1043. In Lisa's opinion, Chun Zhao was looking for death. No, Chun Zhao had been seeking his own death from the beginning. Bogner's demon horn shot a red bolt of lightning at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao shuddered. The red lightning looked shockingly powerful, but its voltage was probably less than 500,000 volts. Phew, your battery is a bit low. You should charge it. Chun Zhao was still holding the phone. Gaia, I'll talk to you later. Wait for me at the headquarters. I should bring something interesting back. Bogner's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly clawed at Chun Zhao. But when his claws scratched Chun Zhao's skin, his claws didn't break. Chun Zhao grabbed Bogner's demon horn with one hand. Let me ask you something. Where did you put the stolen relics? Bogner struggled wildly, but he couldn't break free no matter how hard he tried. Crack! Chun Zhao's hand lightened, and the demon horn broke. Look at you. If you were more obedient, it wouldn't have broken. Chun Zhao shook his head. Lisa was dumbfounded. This guy was the real monster, wasn't he? She'd thought that Bogner was already strong enough. But now, it seemed that Bogner was like a child before Chun Zhao. Nevertheless, one of the demon horns broke, giving Bogner a chance to escape. Bogner retreated abruptly, but the next moment, he tripped and fell to the ground. Lisa's pupils constricted. She saw that it was a black liquid that had tripped Bogner. The black liquid seemed to have a life of its own, wriggling nonstop. The dark serum wrapped around Bogner's ankle and dragged him before Chun Zhao. I'll ask you one last time. Where are the things? Bogner's eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. He'd tried so hard to recover his demon bloodline. He'd thought that he could do whatever he wanted in this world. But Chun Zhao had slapped him hard in the face. If Chun Zhao knew what he was thinking, he would only scoff. Could it be that this guy has been cooped up at home for too long, that his brain has become dull? Even Chun Zhao didn't dare to say that he could do whatever he wanted. But this thing dared to. Inside. Bogner pointed in the direction of the secret door. Chun Zhao looked at the wall and walked forward. He punched the wall. Bang! The entire wall was deformed and twisted. The inside of the wall was made of metal, and it caved in and flew into the secret door. Ruisha was shocked. What a terrifying destructive power. Was this the true strength of this fellow? Is he an awakened like me? But what was his ability? Is he a strength type? But what was that black substance? The dark serum dragged Bonner behind Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao walked into the secret door and looked at the portraits on both sides. These are my ancestors. So your ugliness is inherited from your ancestors. Chun Zhao's words infuriated Bonner. But facing Chun Zhao's overbearing attitude, Bogner could only endure it for now. Lisa followed behind. It wasn't her first time witnessing Chun Zhao's sharp tongue. However, Chun Zhao's insult to Bogner's ancestor had refreshed her knowledge. He walked all the way to the abyss. How could there be any collection? Where is it? You lied to me? Great Lord of the Abyss, please help your devout servant. Bogner suddenly shouted. At this moment, a huge black hand reached out from the abyss. There was an eye in the palm of the huge black hand. When Lisa saw the huge black hand, she froze in fear. The scene before her had completely surpassed her knowledge and toppled her worldview. The black hand grabbed at Chun Zhao, but Chun Zhao's sword energy cut off 3 of the black hand's fingers. You're a mid-level demon, right? Where are you from in hell? Chun Zhao looked at the black hand. It definitely wasn't the demon's main body. To be called the Lord of the Abyss, it was probably a lord. If the black hand was one of the demon's limbs, it should be weaker than a lord like Sophie. The last time Chun Zhao met Sophie had only used 1 finger to defeat him. During this time, Chun Zhao's power had increased by quite a bit again. But according to Chun Zhao's estimation, Sophie could defeat him with 1 hand. Therefore, the owner of the black hand was definitely not as strong as Sophie, but he was stronger than a lord of a small village like Beelzebub. Chun Zhao estimated that the original body of the hand should be a mid-level demon. Although Chun Zhao had cut off 3 of the black hand's fingers, it recovered quickly. Just as it was about to attack Chun Zhao again, Chun Zhao took 2 steps back. You can't beat me now. You'd better scram back to hell. When your main body comes out, we can still fight a few rounds. Think about it. If I keep cutting off your fingers, your demonic power will be exhausted. So, you can relax, and so can I. Lisa and Bogner were dumbfounded. Chen Zhao was negotiating with a demon? And his tone was extremely arrogant. He was speaking to the Black Hand in a very disdainful tone. Just when they thought that Chen Zhao would only anger the Black Hand, the Black Hand slowly retreated back into the abyss. Human, I'll remember you. If I can return to the human world one day, I'll tear you into pieces. Demon, you know that your words are called death flags in the Celestial Empire. Be careful. Don't make flags so easily. Who exactly are you? Bogner stared at Chen Zhao in shock. I'll ask you one last time. Where are the things? Chen Zhao held Bogner upside down and hung him above the abyss. Don't let go. I've sacrificed everything to the Lord of the Deep. Fuck you. Chen Zhao swung his hand and threw Bogner into the abyss. You asterisk shoal, come out. Let's fight again. Lisa was speechless. Move aside, Chen Zhao said. What are you doing? Pee down there. Chen Zhao tossed and turned for a long time. His expression was lifeless. He'd worked for nothing. He'd thought that he'd get a lot this time. In the end, he didn't get anything. Come with me, Chen Zhao said. What are you doing? Lisa looked at Chen Zhao in fear. Didn't you say that you'd deal with me after dealing with that asterisk shoal? Coincidentally, I'm going to deal with you too. Risa really wanted to slap herself. If she'd known that Chen Zhao was so terrifying, she wouldn't have blurted out something she shouldn't have. You owed me 100 million before. You hired me this time, and you owe me another 100 million. In other words, you owe me 200 million now. Do you have any objections? I don't admit it. Lisa looked at Chen Zhao, gritting her teeth. Are you sure you want to go back on your word? Chapter 1044. I accept, I admit. Risa said hurriedly. Good girl. Chen Zhao patted her head. Let's go. As soon as the two poked their heads out, the door frame exploded. Someone shot at them. Chen Zhao and Risa immediately retreated into the room. There are at least 30 gunmen outside. Risa looked at Chen Zhao. At this moment, two darkness mothers rose from the darkness origin fluid. Kill everyone outside. The two dark entities charged out of the room. Instantly, gunshots and screams filled the room. Risa stared at Chen Zhao in fear. A few minutes passed. It was silent outside. We can go back now. Go back? Where? Headquarters. What headquarters? You've been there before. Chen Zhao tossed the car keys to Risa. You drive and remember the way. What if I say I don't know how to drive? Risa really didn't want to go there. That place was like hell to her. Do you want to meet Joe Baylor? Teacher's dead. Don't you know there's a soul after death? Can you really let me see, teacher? No. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Risa glared at Chen Zhao hatefully. When they reached the headquarters, everyone came out immediately. Hey Chen, why did you bring her back? She's the interesting thing I was talking about. What do you mean? Air conditioner, Chen Zhao said. Heat mode. Risa stared at Chen Zhao furiously. 200 million. $200 million. Risa gave in and released some heat. It's indeed much warmer. Air conditioning mode. Risa absorbed the released heat energy, and the temperature suddenly dropped a lot. From now on, you'll be the automatic air conditioner in our headquarters. Chen, you made us wait for an entire night. You didn't make fun of us, right? Gaia looked at Chen Zhao angrily. Fine, the joke's over. Chen Zhao took out Nasamala and tossed it to Gaia. What's this? It can improve your bloodline. Gaia's eyes brightened. Like this? I don't know. Hey, how do I use it? Chen Zhao asked, turning around. Lisa looked at Chen Zhao and then at Gaia. She's like me? She's different from you, but almost the same. Last time, I pricked my finger, and then I got superpowers, Lisa said. Gaia held Nasamara's copper awl and stabbed it into her finger. How do you use it? Do you feel anything? No, I don't feel anything. Gaia shook her head. Should I do it a few more times? Gaia's body suddenly stiffened, and Nasamara's copper awl fell to the ground. A wave of heat hit them in the face, and they all backed away from Gaia. Risa stood still at first, but soon the heat wave exceeded the limit of what she could absorb, and she had to retreat from Gaia's side. Chen Zhao was the only one who didn't move in the face of the heat. Gaia's body began to change shape, and it was getting bigger. It grew bigger and bigger. Dragon. Gaia was transforming into a dragon. Lisa's eyes were wide open, shock written all over her face. Gaia had transformed into a real fire dragon. The surrounding floor-to-ceiling glass shattered. Gaia charged forward, then out of the hall and into the night sky. West, put it on Gaia's tab for the maintenance of these floor-to-ceiling windows. President, aren't you focusing on the wrong thing? Just then, everyone in the association noticed Gaia, who had transformed into a fire dragon. They all walked out of the headquarters and looked up. Gaia wasn't big. Compared to Obito's when he transformed, he was even smaller. He was around 5 meters long. However, Gaia's body looked stronger, and his limbs were thicker too. After circling the headquarters twice, Gaia finally returned to the starting point. He transformed into a human in the air and landed on the ground. What a pity. Chen Zhao sighed. What's a pity? Gaia looked at Chen Zhao. Is my transformation not perfect enough? No. To be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing you run naked. Gaia had been happy at first, but when he heard Chen Zhao's words, his face darkened. Gaia's transformation into a fire dragon didn't just shock Lisa. Many people in the association were astonished as well. President, is this useful to us? West asked, holding the Nasamala all. Chen Zhao shook his head. There was a fundamental difference between an awakened and a shaman. Norma can try, and Helis can try too. Helis' bloodline was special too. But Chen Zhao wasn't sure if it was a demon bloodline. Everyone looked at Helis and Norma. Everyone here has superpowers. Riisa finally discovered the problem. More accurately, shamans, Chen Zhao said. Glancing at Lisa, Chen Zhao said, people like you are awakened. You inherited a special bloodline from your ancestors, but most of them are recessive. Only a few are dominant. But ours is dominant, isn't it? Yes. President, what about you? Do you have any? West asked. Chen Zhao froze. Give it to me. I'll try first. Chen Zhao had 2 7 deadly Sin demon bloodlines in his body. One was the King of Wrath's bloodline. He'd gotten it when he'd killed Samuel Logan, who'd then activated it. The other was Beelzebub Zophie's King of Gluttony bloodline. Chen Zhao pierced his right palm with force and looked at it. Suddenly his right arm swelled up. Chen Zhao's right arm hadn't swelled up in a long time. Ever since he'd been baptized by the Devil's Day, his right arm could release its strongest power, even in its normal state. But this time, Chen Zhao's right arm swelled bigger than ever. It was like a train carriage. Bang! Chen Zhao's right arm smashed onto the ground. With a crash, all the windows in the headquarters shattered. A huge impact spread out. Everyone was blown back by the shockwave. The ground rumbled, leaving behind a huge crater. Everyone stood up again, looking at Chen Zhao with lingering fear. Wes will pay for the repairs, Chen Zhao said, turning his head. President, I didn't do this, did I? You suggested it, and caused my right arm to go out of control. A man should take responsibility for his mistake. Chen Zhao looked at his right arm. An idea came to him, and he put it away. Lisa looked at Chen Zhao, her eyes filled with fear. The captives, led by Henry, had been here for a long time. They'd already seen the supernatural events here, and knew that this place wasn't normal. At the same time, they'd heard that Chen Zhao was the Demon King here. But they didn't know much about Chen Zhao. Now they finally had a direct understanding. Chapter 1045. Give it to me again, Chen Zhao said. It can be used a second time? Everyone was shocked. Lisa shook her head. I've tried. It's useless the second time. But Chen Zhao ignored her. He took Nasamara's awl and stabbed it into his chest. Whoosh! Chen Zhao's head drooped slightly. He didn't move for a long time. Everyone looked at each other. West said carefully, did the president stab himself to death? Everyone rolled their eyes. Chen Zhao cherished his life so much. He definitely wouldn't do something so rash. Plus, how could a small awl kill Chen Zhao? Chen Zhao would have died hundreds of times. An aura circled around Chen Zhao. Everyone couldn't help but gulp. Chen Zhao clearly hadn't done anything, but there was an unbearable aura around him. It was like the body's instinctive reaction. It was like they'd encountered a natural enemy that made their hair stand on end. Just then, Harold pointed above her head and exclaimed, Look! Only then did everyone realize that a black cover had been placed over their heads without them noticing. This black barrier enveloped the entire headquarters. However, because of the lights in the headquarters, they did not notice the existence of this black cover at first. Everyone knew that Chen Zhao often controlled a black, liquid-like substance. But in their memories, the black substance didn't seem to have such a large amount. Chen Zhao suddenly looked up and opened his eyes. The dark serum also faded. Whoosh, that feels good. Lisa stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. She didn't understand how he could use it twice. President, can this thing be used twice? Harold asked curiously. No, Chen Zhao said. Apart from the human bloodline in your body, you can only activate the existing special bloodline. You can't create a second special bloodline. But I'm a bit special. I have 2 special bloodlines in my body. Instead, everyone felt that Chen Zhao's explanation made sense. Both Norma and Harold were eager to try. Norma, you try first. Norma walked up happily. She wasn't as bold as Chen Zhao and Gaia, stabbing a hole in her body. With a light tap of his finger, Norma's head drooped down just like the second time, as if she had fallen asleep. Knock, knock, knock. Did you hear anything? Is that the sound of horse hooves? Everyone looked left and right, but they didn't see anything. Over there. Lisa was the first to discover the source of the sound. In the night sky, a ball of green flames was descending from the sky. It was a horse, a war horse burning with green flames. Everyone was surprised. Nightmare. Alice said. This is the legendary Nightmare. President, it's me. Nightmare landed in front of everyone and said, I'm Norma. Norma? Are you really Norma? Then this Nightmare's body was created by my consciousness. What can you do with this? Chen Zhao asked Norma. Both physical and magical attacks are fine, Norma said. Come and give it a try, Pan En. Come and give it a try. Lisa was startled when Pan En transformed into a bear. What kind of ability was this? She'd already seen too many unbelievable things tonight. Nightmare Norma charged at Pan En without any explanation. Pan En didn't plan to attack. Seeing Norma attack, he only put on a defensive stance. But just then, Nightmare Norma's body passed through Pan En's body. In an instant, Pan En seemed to have lost consciousness. He laid on the ground and started snoring loudly. Such a powerful hypnotic effect, everyone exclaimed. A few seconds later, Pan En woke up with a start as if he'd had a nightmare. What happened? What just happened? Knock, knock. Nightmare Norma knocked on the horse's hooves. I hypnotized you. Pan En had only been hypnotized for a few seconds, but in a battle between experts, a few seconds could decide the outcome. It could even be life and death. I'm going to wake up. Nightmare Norma's body suddenly dissipated. Then Norma's real body woke up too. I used a lot of magic power. Looks like I need to increase my magic power. Let me. Gillis walked over impatiently. She picked up Noxamara's copper awl and stabbed it into her palm. Countless images flashed through Helis' mind. Then she shrank into a ball like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bow. Helis, what's wrong? An island. Helis looked at him in horror. I saw an island. And then, everyone was disappointed. They didn't understand why Helis would be so scared. I saw countless people being slaughtered. Then their blood was gathered together and formed a lake. As Helis spoke, she started vomiting on the spot. After all, Helis was a necromancer. She usually came into contact with corpses, but now it made her vomit. Everyone was curious as to what she'd seen. Suddenly, they realized that 2 corpse demons had appeared behind Helis. The 2 corpse demons were wrapped tightly in bandages. There were also countless strange runes on their bodies. Helis. Chen Zhao gestured at her. Helis turned to look at the 2 corpse demons behind her. Her face was filled with shock. Where did they come from? There's a magic resonance between you two. You probably summoned them. But they're corpse demons, right? Helis' face was filled with confusion. Corpse demons can only be made by oneself. The process is very, very complicated and even cruel. President, I've never made a corpse demon before. Helis was usually a loner, but she always had an inexplicable admiration for Chen Zhao. As long as it was Chen Zhao's order, she would follow it unconditionally. To make monsters like corpse demons, they first had to be made from living people. The process was very complicated. So if she made corpse demons, she wouldn't be able to hide it from others. I know. Chen Zhao looked at the 2 corpse demons before him. The process didn't seem to be done recently. For example, the linen wrapped around the corpse demons had clearly been done for many years. Could it be related to the scene Helis saw? West asked. But why did Helis see that? Norma asked, confused. We didn't. Chapter 1046. How much do you know about Nasamara's bronze awl? That's all I know. Then your first mission is to investigate this Nasamara's bronze awl. Why do I have to investigate this? It has nothing to do with me, Lisa said unhappily. Fine, Chen Zhao said. If you don't want to do this, then you'll be in charge of all the heating and cooling in the headquarters, including the captives' dormitories. Lisa's face suddenly turned livid. Chen Zhao was treating her like an air conditioner. He might as well just kill her. Fine, I accept, Lisa said helplessly. Before that, you must continue being the air conditioner in the headquarters. Why? I've already agreed to it. Lisa cried out in dissatisfaction. Of course it's to urge you to investigate as soon as possible. If you can't find anything in your entire life, then you'll be an air conditioner for the rest of your life. Don't resist. Look at all the big guys in the headquarters. Who can you beat? Riisa was suddenly at a loss. It seemed that she couldn't beat anyone here. President Norma, Gaia, and Helis have all become stronger. This will widen the gap between us. Shouldn't you think of a way to help us become stronger too? Wes complained. If it was just Gaia, it would be fine. Gaia's strength was obvious. However, Norma and Helis were both newbies. Helis had just become an official member not long ago. This was a huge pressure on the older members, especially the male members. Jalanash had always been competitive, but she also felt very depressed now. Alice, do you have the formula for the mana potion? Yes, but President, Alice said. Many of the ingredients for the potion are very difficult, especially the bones of magical creatures. There aren't many magical creatures now. One bone costs hundreds of thousands on the market. Also, the mana content is very low. I'll provide the bones, Chen Zhao said. You guys go and buy the other ingredients for the potion. President, you have the bones of magical creatures? When Gaia and I first went out to sea, we killed a 3-headed dragon. I still have the skeleton of that 3-headed dragon. Lisa glanced at Chen Zhao. Just what kind of existence were they fighting? A 3-headed dragon was probably a legendary creature. Okay, let's all go out and look for magic materials. West and the others were very motivated. I need to get to the Tower of Trials first, Gaia said. I feel like I have the confidence to pass the 2nd floor. Norma and Hallie's were more special. Norma's strength had actually increased quite a bit, but she was still not enough to pass the 2nd level. Harry's was now saving on the 4th floor. Although the increase in her strength was not small, compared to the 4th level, it was equivalent to a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. There was not much meaning. I'll go take a look too, Chen Zhao said. When she looked at Chen Zhao, her eyes were filled with admiration. What is the training tower? Riisa asked curiously. Oh, that's the Tower of Trials. Do you want to try it? Wes said. Just then Henry found the courage to come forward. President, I'd like to borrow Naxamara's copper awl. I've always felt that I'm not an ordinary person. Everyone was a little stunned. Harry's gaze was firm. West looked at Chen Zhao. Henry and the others were all captives. If they obtained special abilities, they would definitely be difficult to manage. Of course, if Chen Zhao gave the order, then no one could object. Chen Zhao was the dictator of the association. He had the power to make any decision. President, look. How's he usually? Very good, West said. Then give him a chance. West walked up to Henry. Give him your hand. Henry gathered his courage and stretched out his hand. He was both excited and nervous. West stabbed Naxamara's copper awl into Henry's palm. Henry flinched. How is it? Do you feel it? Henry closed his eyes and slowly felt it. I think I feel it. Coming. Suddenly Henry's butt was kicked. Henry fell to the ground and looked at Chen Zhao innocently. You think you're in the toilet? Did you awaken it or not? If you did, use it now. President, it's not convenient for me to use my ability here. I feel it. What's inconvenient about it? Hurry up and broaden our horizons. Then I'll use it. Hurry up and cut the crap. Ha! Henry roared. Poof! Everyone ran away in an instant. The captives couldn't avoid it. They all covered their mouths, held their breath, or vomited. Otherwise, they just fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Help! Help! It stinks. Fuck, what kind of weird ability is this? Bullshit. Chen Zhao was completely speechless. Jalanash, go and use a wind spell to blow the smell away. Reluctantly, Jalanash went up and blew the smell away. Alice, do you have any sealing spells to seal his ability? President. No. Henry was also depressed. Who would have thought that he would awaken such an ability? You're so reckless. Don't come near me. In the future, no matter what, don't come within 10 meters of me. Otherwise, I won't be able to stop myself from beating you up, Chen Zhao said in disdain. The smell had been blown away, but Chen Zhao still felt that there was a smell that hadn't dissipated. Chen Zhao touched his nose and went to the Tower of Trials with some resentment. President, I want to go to the Tower of Trials too. Sure. If you can pass the first level, you'll become a permanent member. You won't be a captive anymore. Also, didn't I warn you not to come near me? Oh. Chen Zhao entered the Tower of Trials and went straight to the 6th level. The 6th level was a wasteland. Chen Zhao waited for a long time, but there wasn't a single monster. That's weird. Where's the monster? How come there's no monster? Chen Zhao waited for a long time, but there was still no monster. Chen Zhao started wandering around the wasteland. Suddenly, Chen Zhao saw a huge hole in front of him. Immediately, a black hand reached out from the abyss. Such a familiar black hand. The hand seemed to be climbing up the edge with all its might. Soon a tall figure climbed out of the hole. It was a 30-meter-tall giant. It was completely black. Chen Zhao stared at the hand, the huge black palm. Abyss Demon. This demon was called the Abyss Demon. Was this the monster of the 6th level? It seemed to be the only one. However, this Abyss Demon was stronger than all the monsters he'd encountered before. Chapter 1047. Chen Zhao looked at the Abyss Demon. This demon was clearly not the one he'd encountered before. But no matter which one it was, Chen Zhao had to defeat it. The Abyss Demon's huge fist had already descended. The mouth of gluttony and eye of power opened at the same time. Taking the punch head-on, Chen Zhao retreated a dozen steps while the Abyss Demon took one step back. They were very close in terms of strength. However, the difference in size still resulted in different resistances when they received force. It was like the same force falling on a wall, but the result would be different if it landed on a person. Due to the difference in size, their resistance to power was also different. The Abyssal Demon abruptly jumped 100 meters into the air, followed by a flying kick from the sky. Chen Zhao immediately dodged the kick, but the attack was like a meteor crashing to the ground. It also created a huge impact. The Dark Origin liquid instantly turned into a huge curtain that blocked the Abyssal Demon's attack. When the Abyssal Demons attacked again, the Dark Origin liquid suddenly turned into countless blades. In the past, Chen Zhao had never been able to condense the Dark Serum into sharp weapons. But after the second awakening with Nasamara's All, not only did he have more Dark Serum, but he could also control it more easily. The Dark Serum instantly attached to the Abyss Demon. Then it ravaged the demon's body. It was as if countless blades had been thrown into the Abyssal Demon's body, continuously cutting its flesh. The Abyss Demon's body was cut into a bloody mess. Although the Abyss Demon had strong recovery abilities, it couldn't stop the Dark Serum's mincing mode. In the end, the Abyss Demon was cut into countless pieces of flesh. Rating A+, save and leave, or enter the next level. Chen Zhao saved and left. There were many people outside the Tower of Trials now. Gaia was outside too. Chen, how is the 6th level? I passed, but I'm not satisfied yet. I want to go in again, Chen Zhao said. What about you? I passed the 2nd level, but the flying demons on the 3rd level are too fast. I couldn't handle them at all, Gaia said. Since you passed the 6th level, you can't go there again, right? Start from the beginning, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao was the only person who could enter the Tower of Trials continuously without a cooldown. After all, Chen Zhao was the master of the tower. If others failed, they would be in a 2-day cooldown. He entered the Tower of Trials again, starting from the first floor. Chen Zhao cleared the levels as fast as he could, all the way to the 6th floor. Chen Zhao had re-entered because he felt that he might encounter more abyss demons in the future. Therefore, Chen Zhao had to learn more about abyss demons. The battle just now had only given him a very basic understanding of the abyssal demons. So he didn't plan on using the dark serum this time. Instead, he chose to fight in a different way. In this second encounter, Chen Zhao had a better understanding of the abyss demons. This time, Chen Zhao used the huge mouth of gluttony to hit the demon with super smash to win. Evaluation B-. Although the result was the same, using this method to defeat the abyssal demons was much less efficient than using the dark origin fluid to mince meat. Gaia saw him come out less than half an hour later. How come you're out so soon? Let's do it all over again. I plan to fight in a different way. Gaia was speechless. She had worked so hard to pass 2 levels. But Chen Zhao had easily passed through the 6th level and kept on fighting. This time, after reaching the 6th floor, he used the zither to fight. With the zither and the 12 stone swords, the efficiency was even higher. Compared to the first floor, he was even more efficient at using the dark serum. The blades formed by the dark serum couldn't reach Chen Zhao's own attack power. But using music to control the 12 stone swords was like 12 Chen Zhao at full strength attacking at the same time. Of course, the damage was higher. This time he got a 3S+ rating. After a night, Chen Zhao kept going in and out. In total, he killed the abyss demons 9 times. As a potential enemy, Chen Zhao had a deep understanding of the abyss demons. He had a comprehensive understanding of their strength, abilities, and even their attack methods. Chen Zhao came out for the 10th time and saw Henry sitting on the ground before the tower. What's wrong? I failed, Henry said, depressed. You failed? Chen Zhao wasn't surprised. After all, Henry had just awakened. Plus, he didn't know how powerful his weird ability was against monsters. It's fine. You can be a temporary member of the association for now, Chen Zhao said. You still have a lot of room for development. President, really? After all, Chen Zhao was an expert in this, so his words were very encouraging for Henry. Of course. President, I'll try my best. Stop. Don't come near me. Chen Zhao's heart jumped. Oh, I'll give you a mission. Are you willing? President, I'm willing. I'm very willing. What Henry needed the most right now was someone who could acknowledge him. For him, Chen Zhao giving him a mission was no different from acknowledging him. David, I want to send someone to the detention room with that old Shou Loran. Chen, your father-in-law hasn't come out yet, and you want to send someone in? Do you want me to die? I'm serious, Chen Zhao said. Also, he's going in voluntarily. You just need to send him to Lawrence cell. Who? A gangster. A smile appeared on Chen Zhao's face. You're not thinking of killing your father-in-law, are you? Of course not. Chen Zhao didn't want to kill Loran, but he could at least disgust him to death. Chen Zhao didn't go home for the whole night. After giving some instructions to the headquarters, he went home. He had already called Fei Lai last night and told her that he wouldn't be coming home. When he got home, he saw that Four was there too. Hi Chen. Hi Four. When did you come? Four glanced at Chen Zhao. I heard you sent Dad to jail. No, it's all a misunderstanding. I'm talking to the police now. I believe Loran will come out soon. As if I believe you. Four rolled her eyes at Chen Zhao. Fei Lai was the only one who thought that Chen Zhao and Loran were in love. Four already knew about their relationship. But your house seems to be haunted. What? Haunted? Chapter 1048. Chen Zhao's expression was strange. He'd seen many green lights on the lake in the middle of the night. It was most likely Little Nine coming out at night. However, Chen Zhao also had a headache, because Little Nine grew the fastest out of all of them. Little Nine was already more than 20 meters long. Because of its growth, it was getting more and more uncomfortable in the basement. After all, it was so big that it needed more space to move around. And before long, Little Nine's body would grow even bigger. Maybe even bigger than Amon. Amon's body had stabilized in the past few months. This was his limit in the human world. But Little Nine was different. It wasn't a demon. It was a magical beast in its original form. So it would grow in an extraordinary way. By then, even Mirror Lake wouldn't be able to hide its true form. Chen Zhao thought for a long time, but couldn't think of a solution. Just then Fei Lai came downstairs. Seeing Chen Zhao, she walked to his side. Chun, what are you thinking about? Just now, For said that she saw green lights on the lake last night. It's Little Nine, right? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. Little Nine's too big now. Not even 1/3 of Amon's size. It's different. Chen Zhao shook his head with a bitter smile. Oh, in another year, Little Nine might be the same size as Amon. By then, our basement won't be able to hide Little Nine. Then what should we do? Chen Zhao thought for a long time. In the future, Little Nine will need to be raised in the sea. Mirror Lake is too small after all. I think we need to build a house by the sea. Fei Lai looked up at him. Are you serious? I just suddenly had this idea. If Four hadn't said that, Chen Zhao wouldn't have had this idea. Then what about this house? We'll stay here in winter and go to the sea in summer. Why do we have to stay here in winter? The cold air from the Pacific Ocean blows over in winter. If there aren't tall buildings blocking it, even if we can stand it, the child won't be able to. Okay, since you've decided, we'll do as you say. Chen Zhao did whatever he thought of. The first thing he considered was whether to build or buy a house. Currently, there were a few high-end neighborhoods by the sea in LA. There were too many people, and it wasn't suitable. Moreover, those houses in high-end communities were not cost-effective, and the area was not big enough. Therefore, if he wanted to buy something, he would have to buy something that was relatively remote, at least in a relatively remote place. And in a remote place, he would definitely need to build his own house. The price of land along the remote coastline would not be very high. He could buy a large piece of coastline and repair the beach himself. Chen Zhao had studied this before. For example, Rasfa's beach was built by himself. 2 kilometers of beach only cost a few $100,000. Relatively speaking, the cost-performance ratio was quite high. However, Chen Zhao couldn't handle this alone. Chen Zhao thought for a moment and decided to ask a professional first. Chen Zhao picked up the phone. Hello, Andrews. Mr. Chen, how can I help you? I want to buy a beach near Los Angeles. The first requirement is that there aren't many people, and the environment is the best. Mr. Chen, your requirements are rather general. There are at least 10 beaches around for sale, and the price ranges from a few $100,000 to a few $1 million. You'd better be more detailed, so that I can help you choose. First, the traffic can't be too bad. Second, the coastline has to be long enough, at least 3 kilometers. There must be a deep water area. I want to build a dock with a good environment. I don't need a house. I plan to build my own house. It can't be more than 50 kilometers away from Los Angeles. The price should be below $30 million. Mr. Chun, you can buy the best beach with $30 million, even if it's in Los Angeles. Don't you understand? I want a remote one. The length of the beach can be as long as possible. I don't like my place to be too noisy. Okay, I understand. Andrews really couldn't understand the thoughts of rich people. Not long after Chen Zhao hung up, Amira called. Mr. Chen, it's me, Amira. Ms. Amira, how can I help you? I heard you want to buy a beach. Yeah, did Andrews say that? I have a 4-kilometer beach under my name, including about 12 square kilometers of land along the coast. It's been abandoned. If Mr. Chen is interested, I'm willing to sell it to you. Oh, what location? How much? This beach is located 60 kilometers north of Los Angeles. It's only 1 road away from Sancho National Park. I originally invested in this beach. The Los Angeles city government wanted to build a public beach there. But after the Marine Department's investigation, they found that it was a shark nest. There were at least 10 great white sharks wandering nearby, causing the plan to be put on hold. This beach has been rotting in my hands ever since. Shark's nest? Chen Zhao actually hoped for a few more sharks. Otherwise, Little Nine wouldn't have enough to eat. However, Little Nine would probably be able to chase away all the large fish in less than 3 days after moving there. How much? I bought it for 10 million. Then I'll pay 10 million. I want this beach. Oh, are the sharks still there? Mr. Chen, do you need me to find someone to chase the sharks away? No, don't chase them away. Leave them for me. Amira was speechless. If a shark appeared on someone's beach, they'd definitely find a large number of fishermen to chase it away. However, Chen Zhao's tone was actually a bit excited. He didn't care about the sharks at all. In fact, he was very happy about it. Of course, Amira had seen Chen Zhao's scary side. She also believed that a few sharks wouldn't be a threat to him. Okay. When are you free? Let's go see the beach together? I'm free today. Are you free? Sure. How about this afternoon? Chen Zhao covered his phone. Fei Lai, how about we go down and I go see the beach? Great, did you find the beach so quickly? Coincidentally, a friend wants to sell a beach. Okay. Just then, Fe heard the noise and walked out of the kitchen. Chen, you want to buy a beach? Yes. Why? You said that our place is haunted, so I want Fei Lai and the kids to change the environment. Ugh. I was just saying. Did you really take it seriously? Fe asked in astonishment. It's not bad to change the environment occasionally, Chen Zhao said. Where is it? I want to go too. I'll go too, Winnip said from upstairs. This family's ears were all so sharp. Chapter 1049. This time it was a family trip, so Chen Zhao drove the RV. Little Jerlin was very excited when she saw the coastline. She kept patting the window, her mouth pressed against the glass. Yeah. Haha. Chen, the beach you want to buy is really far, Winnip said. Mom, I asked Chen to buy it further away, Fei Lai said. She knew what Chen Zhao was thinking about. The air would be much better away from the city, and no one would disturb them. Even if they wanted to go to the city, it would only take half an hour. After leaving the city for 50 kilometers, the RV went into a small road. After about 1 kilometer on the road, the car stopped. If you want to live here, Winnip said, we have to repair the road from Mountain Town to Mirror Lake. When we built the house at Mirror Lake, the road from Mountain Town to Mirror Lake was several kilometers long. After Jerlin got off the car, she was already running toward the beach. However, Fe stopped her. The beach below was still a primordial gravel beach. Going down there to play wasn't the least bit entertaining. If people wanted to live and have fun, the beach had to be repaired. The gravel had to be cleared and fine sand had to be covered. This wasn't a difficult project. It only cost a few $100,000 to build a few kilometers of high-quality beach. Chen Zhao looked at the surroundings. Behind him was a large green mountain. The Green Mountain was Sandro National Park. It was less than 2 kilometers from the coastline. Chen Zhao took out his phone. Miss Amira, my family and I are here. I'm here too. Where are you now? We stopped at the end of the road. A while later, Amira found Chen Zhao's family. She only brought 2 bodyguards and a lawyer with her today. Hello, Mr. Chen. This is Miss Winnip. Chen Zhao introduced them to his family. Amira was quite good at socializing. Soon, she and Winnip began chatting animatedly. That's the cliff, right? Is it also for sale? Chen Zhao asked. Amira looked in the direction of the cliff and nodded. Yes, that cliff is the center. It extends 4 kilometers to the left and right, and the total length is 8 kilometers. Including the forest behind it, the total area is 12 square kilometers. The sea area is 50 square kilometers, Amira said. At this time, Winnip raised an objection. A cliff in the middle cuts off the entire coastline. This will damage the entire coastline and the senses. Amira glanced at Winnip with a smile, but she could tell that the real decision-maker was still Chen Zhao and Fei Lai. Therefore, she mainly explained to Chen Zhao, that cliff is a giant rock layer. The ground is very solid. If you build a villa on it, it'll be expensive, but it's very sturdy. You can also build a house with paneling. This type of house will be more resistant to coastal storms than normal coastal buildings. It'll also have a better field of vision. Think about how much enjoyment it'll be to have a full field of vision. Fei Lai and Chen Zhao exchanged glances. They indeed hadn't considered this before. But after listening to Amira's words, they all had new ideas about the new house. Are there no flaws here? Winnip asked. Yes, Amira said. I told Mr. Chun before that there are sharks here. Winnip and Four frowned. Feilai smiled. Is there a discount? Feilai, you have to think about it, Four advised. Even if you're not afraid, you have to at least think about the kids. Sharks were never a problem. She had so many kids. They would probably slaughter all the sharks on the beach. Show us around here. Chen Zhao was already tempted. He trusted Amira, but it was still a $10 million deal. He still had to understand it. Amira introduced the beach as they walked. We only need to build a road less than a kilometer along the coastline to connect to Highway 5. It's less than 45 minutes from the city. Apart from the shark problem I mentioned, the coastline is pretty perfect. There are no flaws. Speaking of sharks, the main problem is that the water here is good. There aren't any chemical factories within 100 kilometers, so there are a lot of fish in the sea. It's abundant food for sharks. Amira said. Also, there used to be a fishery here, but the L.A. government banned fishing 20 years ago, causing all the fisheries to go bankrupt. Is there a deep water area here? Chen Zhao asked. Yes. Amira nodded. That's the deep water area. About 100 meters away from the coastline, there's a deep water area with a depth of more than 30 meters. You can build a small or medium-sized dock there. Chen Zhao and Feilai were even more satisfied. Usually, a dock for a yacht would need a depth of at least 20 meters. Some large ports would need a depth of at least 50 meters. Therefore, this depth was already considered a very good depth for the coastline. For example, Chen Zhao could only park the yacht in the middle of Mirror Lake. He couldn't get close to the villa. The main reason was the depth. Another problem was that the yacht was too big. If it got close to the villa, it would block the villa's view. I want to buy this beach as soon as possible. Chen Zhao made his decision immediately. Of course, no problem. I've brought the lawyer. Also, Mr. Chen, please make some time so we can go notarize it. Sure. Four and Winnip were speechless at Chen Zhao's decisive decision to buy a coastline. Chen Zhao actually made such a big decision so easily. However, this was between Chen Zhao and Feilai, after all. Winnip and Four were just outsiders. They would give their opinions, but they couldn't interfere with Chen Zhao and Feilai's decision. After signing the contract, Chen Zhao paid the advance. Only after the notarization would he pay in full. Felwood Cisco's life had been pretty good recently. Around Christmas, his company had made a lot of money. A company like his basically wouldn't open for business for half a year. Once it opened, it would eat for half a year. Thus, for a long time, Felwood wouldn't need to worry about the company's livelihood. Just as Felwood was drinking red wine in his office, the phone rang. The phone rang. Felwood picked it up. Hello, who is this? I'm Chen Zhao, Mr. Felwood. Chapter 1050. I'm planning to build a new house. The budget is $30 million. Can your company take it? Felwood fell off his chair and onto the floor. Mr. Felwood, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm fine, Felwood said hurriedly. Mr. Chen, I need to talk to you. Felwood already had an impression of Chen Zhao's extravagance. The Mirror Lake mansion had only been built for less than a year. Now he was going to build a new house. The budget this time was more than 10 times higher than last time. The total cost from last time was only about $2 million USD. But this time, Chen Zhao's budget was raised to $30 million. What was he going to build? Build a castle? Of course, no matter what he wanted to build, Felwood had to take the project. Felwood couldn't think of a reason to refuse. L.A. might not even have a $30 million project in a year. The next day, Felwood Cisco rushed to the beach anxiously. Soon Chen Zhao arrived as well. Mr. Chen, hello. Mr. Felwood, long time no see. Mr. Chen, are you going to remodel the beach? I just bought this area. I want to build a mansion on the cliff, remodel the beach and build a dock. Can you tell me your specific requirements? First, the mansion will be built into the cliff. I also want to build an elevator to the beach. I want the windows facing the beach to be seamless annular glass. I also want it to be able to withstand a level 16 super typhoon. L.A. rarely had super typhoons. Usually the typhoon's path was in Southeast Asia. This was because of the Earth's rotation. so most typhoons had a fixed path. However, a small portion of typhoons were reverse typhoons. These typhoons were strange and unpredictable. Even weather satellites couldn't predict their direction. There would be one every 10 or 20 years. Moreover, these reverse typhoons were super typhoons with shocking destructive power. Since Chen Zhao was going to build his house on the beach, he had to make it able to withstand super typhoons. Mr. Chen, according to the scale of the mansion you described, one side of the panoramic seamless tempered glass will cost more than $600,000. If it's segmented glass, the view won't be affected much. The price will be 10 times lower. Since I'm going to build it, of course I'm going to build the best one. Why would I choose a second-rate one? Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chen. Felwood wanted to slap himself for talking too much. Also, we need to build 2 roads, Chen Zhao said. One leads to Highway 5 from the edge of the beach, and the other connects to Highway 5 from the front door of the mansion. No problem. Also, I want a big garage and a big parking lot. When I have parties at the Mirror Lake Villa, my friends often don't have a place to park their cars. Of course, I understand. There's one more thing. I hope that the road repair and beach management will be the first project to be carried out. After all, summer is coming. Although I can't enjoy the sea view room immediately, I still hope to enjoy my private beach before summer comes. Felwood noted down Chen Zhao's request seriously. Chen Zhao had always been his biggest client. Every time he gave him a project, he made a lot of money. Therefore, regardless of whether Chen Zhao's request was reasonable or not, he had to carry it out. Also, I'm very satisfied with the design of the Mirror Lake Villa, but there aren't enough rooms. Usually when my family comes, there aren't even enough rooms. This time, I hope to have more than 15 bedrooms, and a swimming pool at the entrance of the master bedroom. Mr. Chen, I've noted everything you said. I'll give you the first design plan soon for you to see, Felwood said. Felwood said, if you have any additional requests, you can contact me at any time. Okay, that's about all of my requests. I'll contact you if I think of anything else. I'll leave now. Okay, Mr. Chen. I'd like to stay here and observe the terrain. Felwood Cisco put all his attention into this business. This business was too important to him. Chen Zhao then went to the headquarters of the association. Today Lit Grove and Bona Twain were both there. Actually, these days, as long as Lit Grove didn't have work and Bona Twain didn't have classes, they would come to the headquarters. Not for anything else, just to get familiar with them. Teacher. Seeing Chen Zhao, Lit Grove immediately went to his side. What are you doing? Don't think that I'll forgive you and let you leave the morgue security post just because you're trying to please me. Teacher, Lit Grove said seriously. I think that the position you arranged for me is very correct. Chen Zhao's face twitched. Did he lose his mind because of me? Does he have necrophilia or something? Just then Zhalig walked out. President, the electrical room you wanted is here. Do you want to try? Sure, let's go. Chen Zhao nodded. Chen Zhao followed Zhalig to the electrical room. The electrical room was 4 square meters, a 2x2 space. However, there were many metal protrusions on the walls. President, this electrical room can instantly release up to 20 million volts of electricity. Okay, got it. I'll go in and try. Chen Zhao put his electronic equipment outside and gestured at the glass window. Let's start with 500,000 volts. Zhalig stood before the control panel outside the door and started pushing the lever. The metal protrusions in the electrical room started shooting out irregular electric arcs. The arcs landed on Chen Zhao, and all flowed toward the Eye of the Thunder. When electricity passed through the human body, it would flow into the ground in the shortest possible way. But because of the Eye of the Thunder, the electricity kept flowing into it. The Eye of the Thunder was like a superconductor, continuously attracting the electricity. However, 500,000 volts wasn't enough to make Chen Zhao feel anything. Chen Zhao gestured at Zhalig again. Increase 1 million volts. He still didn't feel anything. 2 million volts. Zhalig stood on the control panel outside. Seeing the arcs land on Chen Zhao, he was completely speechless. Right now, the electrical room was completely filled with arcs of electricity. Any one of them would be fatal if it landed on a normal person. But Chen Zhao didn't move at all. In the electrical room, Chun Zhao could feel that the electricity gathered in the eye of the thunder was continuously being converted into magic. Chapter 1051. Usually, there were two main types of damage from electricity. One was when the electricity passed through the heart and caused cardiac arrest. The other was when a strong electric current caused regional burns. Thus, normal electricity didn't harm plants because they wouldn't suffer from cardiac arrest. Of course, it was a different case if lightning struck a plant. Early transgenes actually used electricity to stimulate the cell walls of plants and break them to change genes. This was why in many sci-fi movies, people who were struck by lightning would obtain superpowers. But technology had been .d long ago, because scientists knew that this method was too inefficient. The electricity Chun Zhao was facing now didn't pass through his heart. It was absorbed by the eye of the thunder. This was why Chun Zhao could avoid getting hurt. Of course, Chun Zhao's resistance to electricity was quite high. Electricity was the two most important ways to harm the human body. Since cardiac arrest and burns couldn't affect them directly, Chun Zhao was already immune to electricity. Of course, if Chun Zhao encountered an electric current that could evaporate him one day, it would be a different story. But even in the natural world, it was like a large-scale thunderstorm, releasing billions, tens of billions, or even hundreds of billions of watts of electricity would be done over hundreds or thousands of lightning strikes. It wouldn't be released instantly. Some weaker lightning strikes in the natural world might only have a few thousand or tens of thousands of volts. Thus, natural lightning probably wouldn't be able to kill Chun Zhao. Increase 5 million volts. Chun Zhao made another gesture. By now, the electricity in the room had almost covered the entire room. But the other connection point wasn't Chun Zhao's body. It was the eye of the thunder on his arm. Electricity would only flow in the shortest and least energy-consuming way. Chun Zhao's eye of the thunder was the shortest connection. As a result, Chun Zhao faced the power room more easily than before. The electricity in the eye of the thunder was still not full. Chun Zhao didn't know how much electricity the eye of the thunder could absorb. Chun Zhao asked Zhalig to increase the voltage to 20 million volts. By now, the room was already covered in light. Standing outside, Zhalig couldn't see the situation at all. Inside, Chun Zhao felt that his magic power was completely filled. But the eye of the thunder itself seemed to be a battery. It wasn't just an energy converter. It was also a battery that could be charged. Kakacha. At this moment, the console outside the power room began to smoke. Oh no! Zhalig quickly cut the switch. Chun Zhao was enjoying the process, because he felt that after his magic was filled up, it seemed to be transforming it. But this process was suddenly interrupted. Chun Zhao walked out of the power room and looked at Zhalig in annoyance. Why did you suddenly stop? President, it's a short circuit, Zhalig said helplessly. How long will it take? I'm guessing that the circuit is completely fried. It might take a few days to fix. Zhalig was afraid of Chun Zhao. In an environment that could kill almost all living things, Chun Zhao was completely unharmed. He was awed by this terrifying ability. Forget it. Let me know when the power room can be used again. Chun Zhao felt the magic in his body. He felt light as a feather. The weight of his body seemed to have decreased a lot. When one's magic power reached a certain level, it could lift one's body. Chun Zhao felt that he wasn't far from that direction. Actually, Chun Zhao was quite envious of Gaia. She was the only one in the association who could fly on her own. Chun Zhao wasn't the only one. Everyone in the association was envious of Gaia. Chun Zhao felt that he had to work hard too, so that one day, he would be able to soar in the sky without any assistance. Teacher. Seeing Chun Zhao come out, Ritter Grove walked over. Great, help me test it. Test what? Speed, Chun Zhao said. Find a stopwatch. Oh, my phone is fine, Ritter Grove said. Chun Zhao and Ritter Grove arrived at the field. You call the start. Ritter Grove adjusted the stopwatch on his phone. Ready, start. Chun Zhao dashed out like an arrow. 1 second. 2 seconds. Chun Zhao had already finished a 200-meter field. Ritter Grove's mouth hung open. He stood there stunned. He completely forgot to press the stopwatch to end. Fast, it was simply too fast. He felt like Chun Zhao had completely turned into a bolt of lightning. Even the fastest sports car he'd ever seen had never been this fast. How is it? How much? Teacher, I forgot to press it. You're too fast, and the distance is too short, Ritter Grove said. This field isn't good for testing. Then let's test on the road outside the headquarters, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao and Ritter Grove chose a road that was 20 kilometers long. It was a forest road that led directly to the headquarters, so there wouldn't be any outsiders other than the association members. Under Ritter Grove's command, Chen Zhao sprinted out. Chen Zhao released his speed without holding anything back. Even Chen Zhao found it hard to control his speed. Suddenly, a car appeared in front of him. Unable to control his direction, Chen Zhao crashed into the car. Boom! The car was smashed into pieces and a figure flew out. Oh no! Chen Zhao hurriedly stopped himself and looked back at the smashed car. Then he saw Gaia standing beside the scrap metal, her entire body burning with flames. Chen, did you attack me just now? Chen Zhao's expression was helpless. I was testing my speed. I didn't expect to crash into your car. Gaia was speechless. She didn't see it clearly either. She thought that it was an attack. But it was actually Chen Zhao testing his speed. Gaia looked back at the smashed car. You have to pay me. Chen Zhao wanted to cry. So unlucky. Ritter, what are you doing here? Wes came to Ritter's side. He realized that Ritter was holding his phone, as if waiting for something. I'm helping teacher test her speed, Ritter Grove said. A few minutes later, Chen Zhao returned with Gaia beside him. Didn't you say you were testing the president's speed? Why is he strolling? Why is he dragging a wrecked car? I don't know. Ritter Grove was also confused. West walked up. President, what's with this car? It looks like Gaia's car. Was she attacked? Who did it? Who dared to attack someone from the association? Should I call for help? When West said this, he was very confident. The current supernatural organization was different from the past. Chapter 1052. It's Chun. He crashed my car like this. Gaia glared at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. I couldn't control my speed just now. It's almost impossible to change directions at that speed. But it's too dangerous to test on the road like that, Gaia said. If it wasn't my car and someone else was in the car, they might die on the spot. It's not easy to test on the HQ field, Chen Zhao said. The distance is too short, and it's a circular track. I can't unleash my full speed. The circular track had to turn. If Chen Zhao ran at high speed, he might deviate from the track. Whatever, I want to see your result too. I'll block the road, Gaia said. You can start again. Gaia went to the other end of the road. Klaus flew the helicopter and hovered in the sky. Many people in the association came out to watch. Chen Zhao prepared himself with a professional start. Wes fired a shot into the sky. Chen Zhao shot through the air like an arrow. Everyone behind him felt a gust of air pass by. Compared to the first time, Chen Zhao was more relaxed. He focused fully on running. The trees on both sides of the road kept retreating. Gaia, who was 20 kilometers away, could already see Chen Zhao running toward her. It was a ball of fire that was charging forward, bringing with it an oppressive feeling. When Chen Zhao reached Gaia and turned around, he was still pushed dozens of meters away by inertia. Only then did he turn again. Then he turned again and sprinted forward. Gaia wanted to compete in speed. So when Chen Zhao turned around, she also ran out. But Chen Zhao passed her in the blink of an eye. At the same time, she couldn't even see his back. Whoosh! Chen Zhao crossed the finish line with a gust of air. Lit Grove also pressed the stopwatch. How was it? How long did I take to run 40 kilometers? Chen Zhao asked when he returned to Lit Grove. 301 seconds. Minus the time to change directions, it's 300 seconds or 5 minutes. Everyone gasped. He'd run 40 kilometers in 5 minutes. No one could run faster than that on land, right? Running 8 kilometers in a minute was about 130 meters in a second. This meant that Chen Zhao's speed was around 480 kilometers per hour. Not long after, Gaia also returned. Chen, you're too fast. Gaia exhaled. Everyone thought so as well. Gaia had wanted to compete with Chen Zhao in terms of speed, but the result made her despair. Chen Zhao's speed was probably only comparable to the fastest train. Chen, what would happen if you collided with a train? I haven't. Chen Zhao shook his head. But I never want to try it. According to calculations, the train will deviate from the track due to the impact, and the front will be completely destroyed, Lisa said. She also looked at Chen Zhao, as if she was looking at a monster. That shouldn't be the case. My strength is indeed great, but the train's strength should be even greater. I shouldn't be able to run into the train. Chen Zhao estimated that his strength could reach around 150 tons. This kind of power might be powerful enough for a living creature. But for some machines it was far from enough. That's not how it's calculated. The greatest force of a train is about 200 tons of kinetic energy when it starts. After accelerating to a certain speed, the kinetic energy is converted into potential energy. Because of inertia, some Hercules can pull a locomotive, and a fully loaded train can have a potential energy of up to 10,000 tons. However, this potential energy is a linear motion. Compared to a train, the impact of the president is a point impact. Lisa glanced at the completely wrecked car beside her. Just like this car, if the president collides with the train, the metal layer of the front will be pierced. Then the impact will spread and destroy the train's potential energy balance, causing the train to derail. Everyone was confused. They felt that Lisa's words were very sophisticated, but they didn't understand a single thing. Chen, do you remember that you fell from 7,000 meters into the water tower and came out unscathed? Gaia asked. Hearing Gaia's words, Lisa looked at him with an even stranger expression. He didn't die from a fall of 7,000 meters? Do you want to challenge higher up in the sky? Air. No. Come and give it a try. Don't be too high, just 100 meters will do. I can't die from a fall of 7,000 meters. 100 meters shouldn't be a threat, right? I'm not talking about landing on the water. I'm talking about landing on the ground. Air. 100 meters is too high. Let's go with 10 meters. Everyone rolled their eyes. 10 meters? If Chen Zhao jumped with all his might, he could probably reach more than 10 meters. I'll take you up. Gaia turned into a fire dragon. Grabbing Chen Zhao, she charged into the sky. Enough, enough. Too high, too high. It's more than 50 meters now. Don't go higher. Chen Zhao panicked. Chen, ready? I'm going to release. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Ah. Chen Zhao screamed and started falling down. Ah. Ah, bang. Chen Zhao's feet landed firmly on the ground, completely unharmed. But by then, the cement ground had already cracked. Chen, how do you feel? Gaia landed beside Chen Zhao. You're just bullying me because I can't fly, Chen Zhao said, depressed. Let's try the height of 200 meters, Gaia said eagerly. No. Don't resist. I'll take you up. Helplessly, Chen Zhao was dragged into the air by Gaia again. Chen Zhao screamed again and fell to the ground. This time, a spiderweb-like crack appeared on the ground. You're unscathed from 200 meters. Let's try a higher altitude, Gaia said. There's no need to try. For a normal adult, falling from a height of about 200 meters due to gravity is already their limit. Going any higher won't produce a greater impact. Since the president is unharmed after falling from a height of 200 meters, he won't be harmed no matter how high he falls. Are 200 meters and 10,000 meters the same? The impact of potential energy is the same, at least in the case of the same falling posture. There is no difference between the two. There's a limit to the acceleration of gravity and air resistance. It's impossible to accelerate infinitely. Does that mean that even if Chen falls from outer space, he'll be unharmed? If the president can survive in outer space and withstand the pressure difference and variable values of the air currents, he won't die even if he falls from outer space. Chapter 1053. President, I can get a space shuttle, West said. Do you want to try it? Fuck off, Chen Zhao said, glaring at West. You'll die for no reason tonight. Everyone felt regretful that they couldn't watch Chen Zhao fall from outer space like a human meteor. West looked at Chen Zhao's back. I really don't know if human weapons can kill the president. Nuclear bombs should be possible, someone said. Chen Zhao paused and turned to look at West. I can't get a nuclear bomb. Wes was really afraid that if he said he could get a nuclear bomb, Chen Zhao would kill him right away. In reality, Chen Zhao knew his own limits. He wasn't as unkillable as imagined. Even without nuclear weapons, there were many conventional weapons that could hurt or kill him. For example, some guns and large-caliber sniper rifles could break Chen Zhao's defense. There was also the legendary Metal Storm. Chen Zhao had seen quite a few guns by now, but he still hadn't seen Metal Storm, the legendary terrifying machine gun, with a firing rate of 1 million bullets per minute. It could even turn a tank into scrap metal. Chen Zhao knew that his defense definitely couldn't compare to a tank. There were also all sorts of modern weapons that could hurt Chen Zhao. For example, explosive bombs, armor-piercing bombs, and air-fuel bullets. These conventional weapons could kill Chen Zhao. Stop trying to kill me. If you want to play, then everyone can do it together. I'll do the same to you. That's only fair. Everyone immediately gave up on the idea. Their experiments on Chen Zhao might not have any results. But if Chen Zhao experimented on them, there would definitely be results. Lit, where are you going? Give me a ride. Teacher, where are you going? To school. The principal forced me to take a troublesome job. Now I have to go to school every day. At the school, Lit Grove opened the door for Chen Zhao. Teacher, please get off. Chen Zhao rubbed his forehead. I have my own hands. Don't open the door for me. It's like you're from a gang. I'm a student and you're a teacher. Isn't it natural for me to obey you? Lit Grove wasn't ashamed. Instead, he was proud. With such a lackey by his side, Chen Zhao was too embarrassed to walk around the school anymore. After strolling around the school, he left in a hurry. In the past, Chen Zhao had thought that a rich second generation with a lackey was pretty cool. Now he only felt awkward, truly awkward. At this moment in the Staples Center in Los Angeles, an intense match was taking place. Ruby and Duba were sitting on the sidelines. Because of their injuries, they had missed 2 consecutive games. Of course, as members of the HR team, their thirst for victory was the same. So even though they were substitutes, they still cheered for their teammates on the sidelines. In fact, both of their injuries were almost healed. It had to be said that after Chen Zhao's treatment, they indeed recovered quite well. Of course, the main reason was that their injuries weren't very serious to begin with. Coupled with the timely treatment, they recovered very well. In fact, they were almost ready to play. But because of the conflict within the team, Coach Simpson still had some complaints about them and kept them on the bench. However, the situation on the court was not optimistic. It was already the third quarter, but their team was 12 points behind. Of course, anything could happen on the court. However, the chances of this happening were not high. Duba was a functional player, while Ruby was a star player. The two of them were very useful on the field. Now that they were absent, the HR team's matches were extremely difficult, especially against strong opponents. Victory or defeat could be decided by a hair's breadth. Pass, pass. Ruby stood up and yelled at his teammates. Beautiful three-pointer. They had caught up by 3 points, but the situation did not improve. The HR team was being suppressed. Just then in a collision, a member of the HR team was knocked to the ground. Foul, foul. Ruby, Duba, and the other substitutes all yelled. The referee also gave a foul and a free throw. However, after that member of the HR team got up from the ground, he kept holding his shoulder. Kohler, are you okay? Coach, I think my shoulder is dislocated. Kohler's expression was very painful. Doctor. Simpson asked for a timeout and took Kohler off the field. The doctor ran over and checked Kohler's injury. How is it? Is Kohler okay? The doctor shook his head with a serious expression. He seems to have an injury to his shoulder blade. He can't continue playing and needs treatment. Is it serious? It's very serious. He can't continue playing, even Kohler's entire season. The doctor shook his head and said, everyone's faces were covered with a layer of shadow. Kohler's position on the court was very important. He was the core. If he couldn't play, they would definitely lose this match. More importantly, if he was gone for the entire season, then the HR team would very likely lose the chance to compete for the championship. Give me pain relief. It hurts, it hurts. Doctor, give me pain relief. The doctor looked at Simpson. Pain relief, wasn't something that could be used casually. Even the doctor couldn't make the decision. Normally, if a player was injured on the court, then they had to first diagnose it before deciding whether or not to use morphine. If it was a minor injury, then even if it hurt to death, it shouldn't be used. Because if morphine was used, then it definitely wouldn't pass the urine test. There were oral pain relievers, but they definitely weren't as effective as morphine. Let's go to the hospital for a checkup first. Although Simpson was also very anxious, he still resisted and didn't let Kohler use the pain reliever. The match started again, but they had lost another star player on the court. The situation was even more one-sided. Simpson's voice was hoarse from all the shouting, but in the face of such a crushing defeat, he was powerless. In the last minute, the score difference was 20 points. This was the worst loss they had suffered in the past 3 seasons. The HR team had always been a strong team in the NBA. It had always been them crushing others, but no one had ever crushed them. But in today's match, the HR team's dignity had been completely lost. In the last minute of the match, other than Simpson, who was still shouting at the top of his lungs, the other players on the bench had already calmed down. At this time, Kohler was no longer shouting in pain. He had been sitting on the bench the whole time, but he kept sweating. Professional players had the qualities of professional players. He also knew that there was no way to stop the pain before going to the hospital. At this time, Ruby came to Kohler's side. Chapter 1054. Is it reliable? Kohler was Ruby's good friend, but it was also because he knew Ruby that Kohler was skeptical of Ruby's so-called ointment. Ruby had always been known as an unreliable person in the eyes of the public. That was because people didn't know Ruby well. People who really knew Ruby would never think that Ruby was unreliable. He was more than unreliable. He was simply a senseless idiot. In order to win an important match the next day, he had actually begged a certain wizard. He spent a whole $100,000, but he still lost the game the next day. In the end, he went straight to the wizard's place. This was a real case, but the name was different. In the end, it was brought to the police station. Although this matter was not widely exposed, although this incident wasn't widely publicized, many players in the circle knew about it. So Kohler's impression of Ruby was that he could be a friend, but he wasn't trustworthy. Because most of the time, Ruby used a very sincere attitude to help his friends, but in the end, he always hurt his friends. You know the last time I fought with Duke, right? Kohler nodded. I know. At that time, a Chinese doctor came. He was the one who healed me and Duke's injuries and sold me this bottle of ointment, Ruby said. He said that no matter what the injury was, as long as I used this ointment, it would definitely heal. Really? Really? Ruby bragged very seriously. Try it. Kohler felt that Ruby was unreliable, but most of the time, he had a similar personality. Ruby opened the bottle, and then wiped it on Kohler's shoulder. It's so comfortable, phew. Kohler's whole body shivered. It was so comfortable, especially after the pain. The feeling made Kohler almost obsessed with this feeling. The cold touch seeped into his skin, but it didn't have the stimulation of some drugs. It seemed that something was slowly intertwining in his injured area. It filled the injured area and moisturized the skin. Phew, so comfortable, so comfortable. Kohler was so comfortable that he was about to fall asleep. But the whistle at the end of the game still pulled him back to reality. When Kohler saw the final score, he showed a hint of disappointment. Although he already knew the result. But seeing such a score, he still couldn't accept it. The final difference was 22 points. Simpson walked over and said, Kohler, let's go. I'll take you to the hospital. Kohler walked out of the arena with the help of the staff. 30 minutes later, Kohler and Simpson were at the hospital. Under Simpson's arrangement, Kohler was quickly examined. Then, he went to see the orthopedic doctor. Mr. Kohler, your situation is not looking good. The orthopedic doctor said, your scapula has a serious contusion, soft tissue has fallen off, and there is a hematoma. By the way, did you take an anesthetic before? No, why? Strange, this kind of injury should be very painful, right? Why don't you feel any pain at all? My brother applied some pain-killing ointment on me earlier. Really? What brand of ointment? Generally speaking, only anesthetics can temporarily relieve your pain, but your injuries don't seem to bring you any pain at all. Doctor, can you tell me about Kohler's current condition, the treatment process, and the recovery period? Simpson could not help but interrupt the doctor's question. Okay. The doctor looked at Kohler. Now raise your left arm and see how high you can lift it. Kohler raised his arm. The doctor was a little surprised. Your injury is so serious, but you don't feel any pain at all? A little pain, Kohler said. Just a little pain? The orthopedic doctor was still confused. If the nerves are injured, and there is regional paralysis, it should be a feeling of soreness and numbness. But you feel pain, but it's not very painful. That's too strange. Mr. Kohler, do you want to do a neurological examination? Yes, Simpson answered in place of Kohler. Half an hour later, the neurological examination report came out. The orthopedic doctor took the examination report and carefully looked it up and down. There was nothing wrong with it. It looked normal. Doctor, my injury seems to be starting to hurt. It's getting stronger. Kohler started to hurt again. What pain? A stinging feeling. That's right. It seems that my analysis is correct. It's possible that your nerves were temporarily paralyzed before, so you didn't feel much pain. Now the pain nerves are reacting. Doctor, I'm in pain now. Why are you so happy? Doctor, hurry up and prescribe medicine and treatment for me. Your injury is not easy to treat. The doctor looked troubled again. Why is it not easy to treat? We need to do surgery to release the clotted blood from your shoulder and repair your shoulder blade. How long is the recovery period? 3 months. Is there no way to speed it up? Simpson's expression was more pain than Kohler's. The HR team he led had done quite well this season. They were already halfway through the preseason and were now ranked second in the league. They were only 4 points behind first place. If they were lucky, they could catch up in 2 matches. But without Kohler, they might not even be able to keep second place, let alone catch up to first place. No matter what, give me some pain first. It hurts. Mr. Kohler, this is the most troublesome part. You need to clear your blood, so you can't use anesthetics. But I'm in a lot of pain right now. Kohler's expression became more and more pained. Mr. Kohler, if you want to recover quickly, you can only endure it. Okay, when can I do the surgery? Tomorrow night at the earliest? What? Are you saying I have to endure this pain for a day and a night? Actually, it's not just a day and a night. There's no anesthetics during and after the surgery, only painkillers, the orthopedic doctor said. Give me some painkillers first. I really can't take it anymore. I feel like I'm going to go crazy. Kohler was quickly arranged to be admitted to the hospital, but because the injury was on his shoulder, he couldn't lie down and could only lie on the bed. He couldn't sleep in this position, and the hospital bed was too small. He was almost 2 meters tall, so he couldn't even put down his ankle. Coupled with the pain in his shoulder, he was about to go crazy. In this painful torture, Kohler suddenly remembered the ointment Ruby applied on him in the arena. Kohler struggled to pick up the phone on the table next to him. Chapter 1055. Kohler, wait for me. I'm coming. Ruby soon arrived at the hospital. As a basketball player, Ruby was often injured in confrontations. He had also experienced serious injuries like Kohler's, and some injuries couldn't be anesthetized. So he understood Kohler's feelings and pain very well. Hi Kohler, are you okay? I'm going to die soon. I'm really going to die. Kohler lay on the bed, his face full of pain. It's okay. Your pain will soon go away. Ruby stepped forward and helped Kohler apply the ointment. Kohler's shoulder was moisturized by the ointment, and the pain suddenly disappeared. Not only did it disappear, but it was also very comfortable. It was the same feeling as before. It was a wonderful feeling. It feels so good. Kohler's body and mind became happy. Ruby, leave the ointment for me. I'll give it to you. That's all, Ruby said. That's all? No, this is what I have left. Ruby knew this feeling. He had also used this ointment. After applying the ointment, his flesh and bones were stimulated. The refreshing feeling that penetrated his body and mind spread to all his nerves. Kohler looked back. In the bottle in Ruby's hand, The ointment was almost empty. It could barely be used again. Then go buy another bottle. No, buy a few more bottles, Kohler said. I don't even have the doctor's contact information. Besides, this bottle is $200,000. Are you crazy? $200,000 for this bottle of ointment? You can buy 10,000 bottles with just a little. But can a pharmacy have this good effect? Kohler was silent. Indeed, this bottle of ointment seemed to be specially made for him. His pain was greatly alleviated. Is there a way to find the doctor? I'll ask the coach later. The coach found me. Just then the doctor came in from outside. What are you doing? The doctor saw Ruby applying the ointment to Kohler. Ruby rolled her eyes. Can't you see? I'm applying ointment to my brother. Do you know what you're doing? You're obstructing Mr. Kohler's treatment. Don't you know that patients can't use non-prescription drugs? I've already used it. What can I do? Ruby said disapprovingly. You are breaking the law. The doctor was very angry. No doctor would like their patients to receive treatment that was not part of their plan. I'm just giving my brother pain relief, Ruby said unhappily. I can't use painkillers either. What kind of painkillers are you using? What brand is it? What about the logo? What are the ingredients? This is a private recipe. Personal formula? You know that private individuals are not allowed to dispense medicine, right? The FDA's management was very strict. Private prescriptions were not allowed, especially for others. I've already used it. What do you want? Give me the medicine. I want to analyze its ingredients. If it contains illegal ingredients, you and the producer of this medicine will be in trouble. Ruby stuck out her middle finger. Who do you think you are? Why should I give you ointment? Ruby was reckless, but he was not stupid. The item was in his hands, so why should he give it to someone else? He even wanted to use it as evidence. The doctor was also a little angry. Then I refused to treat him. If you don't want to treat me, then don't. Do you think I want to treat you? Kohler was also angry. He felt that the doctor was completely incompetent. He had suffered such a serious injury, but the doctor did not give him pain relief, and even said that it was for his own good. Ruby tilted his head and asked, Kohler, are you serious? Yes, take me away from here. Didn't you say that you know that doctor? Ask him to treat me. Mr. Kohler, it's best if you don't leave the hospital. Your injury is very serious. Our hospital has the best equipment, and I'm also an authority in orthopedics. You can't find a better doctor than me in Los Angeles. If you leave now, your treatment might be delayed, which will affect your career. How could Kohler lower his head at this time? Even if I retire now, I don't want you to treat me. Anyway, Kohler was not in pain now, so he became tough. Besides, he was not the only hospital in Los Angeles. There was no better orthopedic doctor in the world. The doctor's face turned red. You can go. Don't blame me if the treatment is delayed. With that, the doctor waved his hand and left. Kohler, are you really leaving? Why should I stay? I've already said it. It'll be more embarrassing if I stay. Pack up. Let's go. Most people who played sports were honest boys. They valued their reputation more than anything else. Ruby helped Kohler carry his bag and helped him leave. While waiting for the elevator, the orthopedic doctor appeared again. Mr. Kohler, are you really not going to treat me? I don't need your treatment. Don't appear before me again. I'm the best orthopedic doctor. If you don't get better soon, pretend I didn't say anything. Ruby looked at Kohler. Kohler wanted to treat her, but he could not take back his words. Just then the elevator door opened. Ruby looked up and her face was filled with ecstasy. Mr. Chen, Ruby called out in surprise. Chen Zhao looked at Ruby. Who are you? It was not that Chen Zhao was rude or looked down on Ruby, but he was a bit face-blind. He did not recognize Ruby. Ruby immediately said, I'm Ruby. Did you forget? I'm Ruby from the HR team. You treated me before. Oh, I remember. Chen Zhao remembered, but he still could not remember Ruby's face. Chen Zhao only knew two black people. One was the police officer Melson. The other was the taxi driver Vincent. Of course, in Chen Zhao's heart, Vincent was a real movie star. Mr. Chen, this is my brother Kohler. He's injured. Can you treat him? I don't have time. Chen Zhao rejected without thinking. Ruby did not give up. Mr. Chun, as long as you're willing to treat him, I'm willing to pay a high price. 500,000, okay? Chun Zhao was about to leave when he stopped. Do you have the report? Yes. Ruby helped Kohler take out the report and gave it to Chun Zhao. The injury is serious. The treatment and recovery will take 2 weeks. Wait, sir, which hospital are you from? Your behavior is against a doctor's ethics. Do you know that? The orthopedic doctor looked at Chun Zhao dissatisfied. Who is he? He was originally Kohler's main doctor, Ruby said. But we've already rejected his treatment plan. Oh, then ignore him. Send your brother home. He'll start treatment tomorrow. Is there a problem? No, Ruby said happily. Chapter 1056. Go ask your dean if he has any objections, Chun Zhao said indifferently. Then come and talk to me. Just then a doctor walked over. Hi, Mr. Chun. Hello. Hello. Chun Zhao knew this doctor. He'd been Hoffman's main doctor and the person who doubted Chun Zhao. He seemed to be called Crete. Chun Zhao had met him a few times later. They didn't have any conflicts, so they were friends. Mr. Chun, I have a patient with a heart problem, Crete asked. Can you take a look at him? I don't have much time, Chun Zhao said. Give me the report. Crete was overjoyed. He immediately passed the report to Chun Zhao. This patient's heart bypass didn't seem to be successful? Yes, our hospital didn't do it, but we can't be sure what's wrong. It's probably a battery leakage, Chun Zhao said. It's best to arrange surgery as soon as possible to repair the pacemaker. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chun. Crete was very happy. Chun Zhao nodded and turned to leave. Crete, you know that Asian? Yes, he's a very good doctor. Hearing this, the orthopedic doctor's expression darkened. He's a heart specialist. He's good at every medical field. And he's almost always the best, Crete said. He's helped me look at a few patients' cases. As long as he's seen the patient or read the report, he can almost determine the patient's condition and give the corresponding treatment plan. Ruby and Kohler's eyes lit up when they heard this. It seemed like they'd found the right person. Chun Zhao arrived at For's office. Her door wasn't closed. He knocked. Hi, For. Why are you here? Winnip asked you to eat at my place tonight. You could have just called. Why did you come to the hospital? It's on the way. Winnip also asked me to pick you up. Okay, give me 20 minutes. I'll finish my work. It didn't take long for For to finish what she was doing. Let's go. Chun Zhao drove the car with For. For was speechless. Chun, you also break the traffic rules sometimes. No. Chun Zhao decisively rejected For's request. Chun Zhao's driving was too stable. He followed all the traffic rules. The speed limit was 40 kilometers per hour, but he would only drive at 35 kilometers per hour. The zebra crossing decelerated, and the red light was 1 second slower. To be honest, For wasn't the first to complain about Chun Zhao's driving skills. Almost everyone who had sat in Chun Zhao's car couldn't help but complain. If I didn't know you well, I would almost think that you are a well-behaved person. I've always been a law-abiding person. Hee. An illegal doctor claiming to be a law-abiding person? Moreover, this illegal doctor had injured at least 20 people, and at least 5 of them had died. In For's eyes, Chun Zhao had never been someone who followed the rules. If he didn't know Chun Zhao well, he could almost be sure that Chun Zhao was a violent person, just from the violent incidents he had participated in. Of course, Chun Zhao was an extremely good man in real life. At least in For's knowledge, Chun Zhao and Fei Lai never fought. Even if they did, he would let Fei Lai win. Especially after Fei Lai's pregnancy, her temper had also become unstable. Every time, Chun Zhao would comfort her gently and considerately. Oh, when can my dad come out? He should be out tomorrow, Chun Zhao said. The police don't have concrete evidence, so they don't plan to charge Laurent. Chun Zhao really hoped that Laurent could be locked up until the end of time. Henry, you asterisk shoal. Why am I in the same room with you? Oh my God. You must have been sent by God to punish me, Laurent wailed. Although he had only been locked up for a few days, Laurent had already lost a lot of weight. He knew that it was Chun Zhao's fault that he was locked up. He had originally been worried that Chun Zhao would arrange for a few burly black men to be locked up in the same room as him. But now, how he wished that his roommate was a tall and sturdy black man. Ever since Henry had entered the prison, he hadn't eaten a full meal. Even if he did, he would spit it out. You never know what he will do at mealtime. Bullshit. That was Lawrence's impression of Henry. He seemed to have an endless supply of farts. He did it when he was eating, and when he was sleeping. The entire prison cell was always filled with that lingering stench. Every time he farted, Laurent would definitely know. Other than the smell, there was also the sound. Henry could make earth-shattering farts every time. Mr. Laurent, it's okay. Bear with it for one more day. You'll be free soon. Henry knew that Laurent was Chen Zhao's father-in-law. Of course, he was friendly with Laurent on the surface. But he didn't forget his mission. He had to discuss Laurent as much as possible. Pooh, there was another series of continuous sounds. Laurent felt the entire room turn turbid. Laurent covered his nose and took deep breaths at the vent. What was despair? This was despair. Tell me, what's the secret to farting? Laurent felt that if he could, he also wanted to learn this secret technique. Even if he couldn't beat Chen Zhao, he could at least disgust him. Mr. Laurent, I'm afraid that no one can learn this technique. No reason. If you can make such earth-shattering farts, I should be able to do it too. Tell me the secret. First, take a deep breath, then prepare it in your stomach. Relax your butt muscles and apply force in your abdomen. Laurent suddenly fell silent. Mr. Laurent, did you learn it? Laurent wanted to cry. He didn't want to continue this topic. He couldn't face Henry's question. What Henry produced was a fart. What he produced was... Nothing was more despairing than this moment. Although he could get out tomorrow, Laurent felt like a year here. He couldn't wait to escape from here. To escape from this prison. The next day, he could finally see the light of day again. When he walked out of the cell, the first person he saw was the last person he wanted to see. Chen Zhao. Of course, Chen Zhao didn't want to see Laurent either. Laurent got into Chen Zhao's car. Chen, you're too much this time. Chapter 1057. It was Lawrence's first time going to the villa since he'd arrived in Los Angeles. Dad, you're finally here. Where have you been these days? It was an emergency and I had no choice, Laurent said helplessly. Fela, your belly is so big. Sit down. Dad, aren't you retired? What else do you need to do? Fela asked, confused. Personal matters. No matter how much Laurent and Chen Zhao hated each other outside, they would always act so loving in front of Fela. Chen Zhao didn't plan to hurt Laurent in the next 2 days either. It was New Year's Eve the day after tomorrow. No matter what, Chen Zhao wanted to have a happy holiday with Fela. The day after tomorrow was New Year's Eve. No matter what, Chen Zhao wanted to have a good time with Fela. For example, he would give his subordinates red packets and visit friends and relatives on the first day. Chen Zhao called Felwood Cisco and went straight to the construction site. After his previous experience, Felwood didn't panic and think that Chen Zhao was looking for trouble. With his previous experience, Felwood didn't panic anymore, thinking that Chen Zhao was looking for trouble. He knew that these 2 days were Chinese's most important traditional festival, New Year. He knew that these 2 days were the most important traditional Chinese festival, the Spring Festival. Mr. Chen, you must be joking. I think the construction team welcomes you. You can ask them if you don't believe me. Mr. Chen, you must be joking. I think the construction team would welcome you. You can ask them if you don't believe me. After all, they were quite happy to have such an employer. Giving red packets during New Year was called lucky money for the younger generation. Giving red packets during New Year was called lucky money for the younger generation. Literally, it meant that the older generation hoped that their children could grow up slowly. On the other hand, giving red packets to the subordinates was called auspicious, which meant blessing. Chen Zhao still came to give red packets to the workers himself. Most of the workers recognized Chen Zhao, because the amount of work this time was larger than the last time. Some of them were newly added. They didn't know Chen Zhao yet, but they were still very happy to know that they would receive a large sum of money. Chen Zhao remembered clearly when he got the Native American. Hey buddy, how are you? Mr. Chen, thank you. The Native American looked at Chen Zhao sincerely. He indeed needed a sum of money. Chen Zhao's red packets had indeed helped him a lot. In the United States, Native Americans were treated far worse than other races. Although the United States had laws to protect the Native Americans, most of the Native Americans still stayed in their private lands. A small number of people chose to blend into the environment, just like the Native American in front of them. Chen Zhao didn't know about Native American etiquette. In fact, each tribe had different etiquette, so he just shook the hand of the Indian worker. The Native American tapped his forehead, and then scratched Chen Zhao's palm. May Azu embrace you, kind man. I wish you the same, my friend. After Chen Zhao gave out the red packets, the workers went back to work. Felwood Cisco walked over. Mr. Chen, do you have any other requests regarding engineering? No, I just hope to finish it as soon as possible. Of course, that's under the premise that the quality is guaranteed. I'll supervise the whole process, Felwood said. Generally speaking, as the boss of an engineering company, Felwood Cisco did not need to supervise the whole process. However, this list was too important to him. He had to supervise the whole process. He did not want to make any mistakes and affect Chen Zhao's impression of him. On the way home, Chen Zhao suddenly remembered that they had to set off fireworks on New Year's Eve. However, the supermarket here did not sell fireworks. There were specialized stores that sold them. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and searched. He found a fireworks supermarket. After half an hour's drive, Chen Zhao took a detour to the fireworks supermarket. There were 2 or 3 Chinese people in the supermarket who were also buying fireworks. The cashiers were also Chinese. Chen Zhao started to walk around the supermarket. Suddenly, a voice sounded from behind him. Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao turned around and saw a familiar yet strange face. Chen Zhao remembered that this woman was the same age as him. She was his high school classmate. She was also the prettiest girl in the class. But Chen Zhao really could not remember her name. It's really you, Chen Zhao. I thought I got the wrong person. The prettiest girl smiled at Chen Zhao. Did you not remember my name? Zhou Bingbing? Chen Zhao asked tentatively. The prettiest girl rolled her eyes. You really forgot. I'm Li Qiong. Haha, I was joking with you. How could I forget, prettiest girl? Chen Zhao laughed awkwardly. How come you're in America? Li Qiong looked at Chen Zhao. She was really surprised to see Chen Zhao here. Of course, Chen Zhao was surprised too. I can't live in China anymore, so I came out to harm the American people. I didn't think you were so naughty in school. How are you? Did you come out to work? Or emigrate? Emigrate. I emigrated after high school, Li Qiong said. I didn't expect that. Do you have kids now? Not yet. Single? Single. Why? Do you want to chase me? Just asking. I already have a family. Chen Zhao laughed. But you're so pretty. How can you still be single? Did you forget about the rumors in high school? Chen Zhao really did not forget about the prettiest girl in the class. It was said that Li Qiong had once said that if she wanted to find a husband in the future, she should find a rich, talented, and handsome man. She couldn't lack any of them. After all, this was in China and in high school. So Li Qiong's reputation in school wasn't good. I can't help it. It's really hard to find a man I like in this world, Li Qiong said in self-pity. But this was also because Li Qiong was already pretty. To put it bluntly, she was a natural beauty. Plus, she had a good family background. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to emigrate 10 years ago. She was also the only daughter in her family, so she was like a little princess at home. But after graduating from university and working, her arrogance was gone. After all, this was America, not the rural middle school that she and Chen Zhao studied in. Here, there were many people with better family backgrounds and prettier than her. Even her family couldn't help her much here. But it was a habit that had been formed since young. How could it be changed so easily? She even called out to Chen Zhao with some pride, wanting to show off in front of him. Oh, what are you doing now? Teaching, Chen Zhao said. Teaching? That's not bad, Li Qiong said, smiling. In California, the average annual income of a teacher was more than $70,000. I couldn't tell, but your grades were so average. I didn't expect you to be a teacher abroad. Chapter 1058. You're here to buy fireworks? Yeah. It's Chinese New Year. I'm going to buy some for my wife and kids. What brand do you want? I'll help you pick. You're this shop's. My family owns it, Li Qiong said, smiling. No wonder she was here. I don't usually come here, Li Qiong added. Li Qiong added, I didn't expect to meet you, my old classmate, on this rare visit. Actually, I'm studying art. Chen Zhao bought a few $100s worth of fireworks from Li Qiong. Li Qiong accompanied him the whole time. Of course, it was also to feel a sense of superiority from Chen Zhao. By the way, do you have those fireworks that will hurt when hit, but won't injure you? Chen Zhao asked. At least they won't cause large area burns. No. Fireworks are dangerous. Don't try to hit people. Fine. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. Are you going to play this game with your family? I hate my father-in-law, Chen Zhao admitted. But I sell protective clothing, helmets and goggles, Li Qiong said. Some young people like to play these games too. Before leaving, Li Qiong said, Give me your contact number. Let's eat together when we're free. Although Li Qiong had been out for 10 years, she still couldn't integrate into society. Chen Zhao bought protective clothing. It was actually made of similar materials and looked similar to a firefighter's uniform. When Chen Zhao returned home, Laurent also came back from outside. He also brought back a cart of fireworks and bought protective clothing, helmets and goggles. The two looked at each other and then moved the things out of the car in silence. However, they both put the things in the basement. After all, they were flammable and not suitable to be placed at home. Indeed, only enemies understood their enemies. When Chen Zhao returned to the living room, Zhirlin had already run over to Laurent. Grandpa. Ayo, my little baby. Laurent immediately put on a smile and picked up little Zhirlin. Chen Zhao mumbled, She's my daughter. Why is she so close to you? She's also my granddaughter. What does it have to do with you? Laurent said matter-of-factly, Baby, look what I bought for you. Do you like it? Zhirlin pecked Laurent's face. Half of Laurent's face was covered in saliva. Chen Zhao pouted. Laurent hugged Zhirlin and said, Chen, I think we shouldn't do fireworks. I think it's dangerous. Laurent was mainly concerned about little Zhirlin and the pregnant Fei Lai. Chen Zhao thought for a moment and then nodded. Don't play tricks on me before and after Chinese New Year. Temporary peace. On the 29th of the old calendar, Chen Zhao went to the headquarters of the association again to give out red packets to the people there. In the past 2 days, Laurent and Chen Zhao had been fighting openly and secretly, but it was only verbal. In front of Fei Lai, they still maintained their poise and friendliness. Chen Zhao even specially ordered a little red robe for Zhirlin. She looked especially cute in the robe. There were even 2 buns on her head as accessories. For the past 2 days, Laurent had completely fallen under Zhirlin's cuteness. All he did was take pictures of little Zhirlin with his phone. Little Zhirlin leaned on the princess's back and took pictures. Little Zhirlin sat by the lake, holding Samuel and taking pictures. Little Zhirlin drank milk and took pictures. Laurent would take pictures of whatever little Zhirlin did. He was completely obsessed. It was said that the zither of time was completely reflected by Laurent. Grandpa, I want a pot. What is little Zhirlin saying? Laurent nudged Chen Zhao beside him. Zhirlin wants to set off firecrackers, Chen Zhao said. Because it was the 29th today, Chen Zhao would throw out a string of firecrackers every once in a while. However, he didn't let Zhirlin get close because he was afraid that he would hurt her. Zhirlin wasn't afraid at all. She was just like that. She was completely fearless. Then get her a firecracker, Laurent said. Chen Zhao shook his head. No. She's still too young. She doesn't understand the danger. It's okay. I'll watch, Laurent said. I said no. I said I'll watch. I won't let Zhirlin get hurt. What if you're not here and I'm not here? What if Zhirlin plays by herself? How can you be like this? I'm like this. Just then, Fei Lai came downstairs. Dad Chen, what are you arguing about? No, we're talking about what to eat tonight. The festive period was about the atmosphere. On New Year's Eve, Kareem, Howard and Kane, who were staying at the hotel, also came. They were all busy. It seemed like they couldn't stop for the day. The atmosphere was easily contagious. Laurent hugged Zhirlin and set off firecrackers outside. The pets were also very active, because they could eat whatever they wanted. If they wanted to eat, they would run to the kitchen. Either Four or Winnip would throw them a piece of food. Chun Zhao was rather free these 2 days too. He didn't care about anything. Laurent didn't give him any trouble either. Chun Zhao also prepared a table of New Year's Eve dinner for the pets. The whole family sat together happily, eating and drinking while chatting about all sorts of things. Chun, I heard that you're going to build a new house? Yes, I do. You asterisk Shoal. Don't you know how to save money? Laurent found a chance to rebuke Chun Zhao. After coming to America, I learned your habits. Chun Zhao shrugged. Instant consumption. That's what you Americans think. Money will keep depreciating if it's in the bank, so I can only invest in land to preserve it. But I heard that there are sharks in the beach you bought. Shark fins are delicious. It's illegal to catch sharks. Self-defense isn't illegal. Okay, stop arguing, Winnip said. Chun, you made a lot of money from wine last year, right? Fei Lai and I earned it together, Chun Zhao said, holding Fei Lai's hand. Actually, Fei Lai took most of the credit for the vineyard. Why don't you expand the scale this year? Your wine is in short supply in our supermarket. Winnip, rare things are more valuable. You're a businessman, so you should know this better than me, Chun Zhao said. If you make too much wine, it'll become less valuable. The supply will always be less than the demand. That's the only way to keep the product's value stable, and even increase in value. Winnip could personally feel the benefits that aged wine brought to the supermarket. However, it mainly attracted marginal customers because they were all rich. She didn't just need rich people, but also middle-class people. They were the real high-quality customers that could bring profits to the supermarket. Chapter 1059. Usually, fireworks needed the approval of the local government. In order to set off the fireworks, Chun Zhao also went to get a permit from the town government. It wasn't a public fireworks display, but it was still a medium-sized one. Plus, thousands of dollars of fireworks wasn't a small amount. Chun Zhao, Kareem, Howard, and Kane spent 2 days sitting on a simple wooden platform on the lake. The whole family gathered in the front yard. The beautiful fireworks rose above the lake, and were reflected on it at the same time. The scene was as beautiful as a poem. Little Jerlin leaned in Chun Zhao's arms, her eyes wide open. She stared blankly at the flowers blooming one after another. After a while, Jerlin began to squeal excitedly. Chun Zhao held Fei Lai with one hand. He was filled with satisfaction. Everyone's heart was at peace and at peace. It was a subtle atmosphere. The whole family just stood there. They enjoyed this moment of contentment. After the fireworks, everyone gathered at another table and began to chat while eating and drinking. Chun, what meat is this? It tastes good. Beef. Isn't it pork? Winnip asked in confusion. No, it's not a common animal, Chun Zhao said. Can you provide it to the supermarket? Winnip asked. No, Chun Zhao said helplessly. It's too rare. Chun Zhao's spatial ring stored a few hundred tons of meat from magical creatures, or hell creatures. But if it was to be provided to the supermarket, it wouldn't be enough. For example, Mara supermarket sold almost 30 tons of meat a day. Americans loved meat very much. It was an indispensable food on America's dining table. It was also the biggest meat consumer. America consumed 40 million tons of meat every year. What did this mean? It was equivalent to 100 kilograms of human meat every year. You can't supply it? Yes. Chun Zhao nodded. I don't even have enough for 1% of the supermarket's needs. I'll leave it for my family. Okay. Winnip wasn't an unreasonable person. She was only trying it out with a probing attitude. At night, Chun Zhao said to Fei Lai. Fei Lai, I'm going out for 24 hours tomorrow. Some special friends need me to visit too. Okay, I understand. The next day, Chun Zhao went to hell. It was Beelzebub Zophie who had summoned him to hell. When Chun Zhao arrived in hell, he realized that he didn't go to Obsidian Castle today. Glancing around, this was also a castle, but the scale was much smaller than Obsidian Castle. Hi Lord, why didn't you summon me at Obsidian Castle today? Beelzebub Zophie stood before Chun Zhao. Obsidian Castle is being renovated and expanded. Obsidian Castle is already so big. Do you still want to expand it? Because my territory has doubled, so of course I have to double the size of the castle. That makes sense. Chen Zhao took out a large pile of octopus and twisted monster meat. It's for you. For me. Beelzebub Zophie looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Today is the first day after the festival in my hometown. According to the local customs, we have to visit our relatives and friends on the first day and give gifts. I see. I'll accept it then. These things were nothing to Beelzebub Zophie. However, Chen Zhao couldn't not give a gift just because it was nothing. Chen Zhao's gift was still his sincerity. I heard from Abitos that you've declared war on other lords again? That's right. Zophie didn't hide it. That lord is just a demon without any subordinates. But he has a spring of life. Spring of life? That's spring water that can directly increase the vitality of living creatures. It's a treasure that only I can occupy. Those lowly bastards don't have the right to have it. Chen Zhao was interested. He didn't care who Zophie declared war on. If demons didn't fight, would they still be demons? This was their nature. Chen Zhao was more interested in the spring of life. How much vitality can it increase? The vitality of any living creature represented the person's lifespan. Not necessarily. For example, if I drink enough spring of life, I can increase my lifespan by 3,000 years. Chen Zhao sucked in a breath of cold air. How long could you have lived? 5,000 years. Such a greater demon overlord could casually live for as long as the history of mankind. What if it's a human? I don't know. No human has ever drunk the spring of life. Different species and different demons drink the spring of life and obtain different vitality. Some demons drink the spring of life and obtain a mere 1 or 2 years of life. There's a limited amount of spring of life, right? I don't know exactly how much, but I'll reserve some for you, Zophie said. Thank you then. Chen Zhao didn't have to worry about not having enough food at Zophie's place. Zophie and Oris's appetites were dozens of times bigger than Chen Zhao's. When night fell in hell, Chen Zhao sat on a platform in the castle, playing the zither. Just then, he heard a voice behind him. The music suddenly stopped, and the voice came from behind. Why did you stop? Come and drink. This is the wine I brewed. Chen Zhao turned around and saw the handsome young man standing there quietly. Under the crimson moon, the light shone on him, but he seemed so holy. How come you're here? The handsome man asked curiously. It's a festival in my hometown. On the first day after the festival, I'm going to visit my family and friends, so I'm here to drink with you. The handsome man sat before Chen Zhao and picked up the glass to drink. I know you must have drunk better wine than this, but don't say it's bad. No, it's very good, the handsome man said. The Tower of Trials you gave me last time was very interesting and useful. Thank you. No, it's not a gift, so you shouldn't say thank you. The handsome man took out his phone and handed it to Chen Zhao. You can contact me with this phone and talk to me. Human in hell. Yes, I found someone to make it. Chen Zhao took the phone and tried dialing the only number saved in it, 666. The phone rang from the handsome man. Just then, the handsome man suddenly looked behind Chen Zhao. The owner of this place is here. I should go. Oh, goodbye. Talk to you later. Okay. Talk to you later. Just then, Beelzebub Zophie walked over from behind. Human, were you playing a musical instrument from the human world just now? Yeah. Do you want to listen? Forget it. I can't appreciate it. At the moment, a certain person was in the sky muttering, so tasteless. Zophie didn't know what was going on in a certain person's mind. If he did, he would probably pee his pants. You're going back to the human world soon, right? I have some things here. Bring them to Abitos for me. Sure. Chen Zhao agreed quickly, but when he saw what Beelzebub Zophie had prepared, his face darkened. Chapter 1060. Chen Zhao stared at the mountain of food. Abitos needs to strengthen his bloodline, so he needs to eat some special food. Is it useful for other dragons? Chen Zhao asked. Do any of your friends in the human world have dragon bloodline? Yes, they have fire dragon bloodline too. No. Zophie shook his head. Zophie shook his head. These things are poisonous to others. Without a strong enough bloodline, you can't eat them. Abidos is my and Oris's son. He has both our bloodlines, especially the glutton bloodline. It can resist all poisons, so he has a strong enough resistance. Zophie shook his head. Zophie shook his head. That's right, Zophie. So your bloodline is dominant? Yes. Chen Zhao had heard from Beelzebub that gluttons couldn't be poisoned. They could devour everything. Chen Zhao had thought that he could help Gaia and get some of this strengthening food. Now it seemed that this idea was impossible to realize. Just then, Jessica came to Chen Zhao with a group of banshees. Chen Zhao suddenly saw a familiar face. Jessie saw Chen Zhao too. Chen, Mr. Chen, why are you here? Shut up. Jessica glared at Jessie. You have to show enough respect to the living Lord. You have to call him Lord. Jessie's face was pale. Chen Zhao could tell that she hadn't been having a good time recently. Living Lord, do you know this soul? Yes, sort of. Chen Zhao nodded. Should I give her to you? No, Chen Zhao said calmly. I'm not that familiar with her. This woman was truly a troublemaker. Chen Zhao had already learned from Lisa about Jessie's stupid behavior. She only had herself to blame for being in such a situation. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, Jessie was even more disappointed. She'd thought that Chen Zhao would help her out. Unfortunately, Chen Zhao wasn't that kind. Of course, Chen Zhao didn't plan to kick her when she was down. Jessica, why is she here? Chen Zhao asked curiously. I bought her from a soul merchant, Jessica said. I plan to turn her into a new banshee. Chen Zhao recalled that Pamela had also tried to turn into a banshee, but she hadn't succeeded. Jessica, how do we transform a banshee? Jessica looked at him and said, Living Lord, are you going to rear a banshee? No, I have a subordinate who has always wanted to transform into a banshee, but failed. In order to transform into a banshee, I first need a large amount of pure soul shards. I need to let my spirit body absorb the power of the soul shards, and then soak myself in withered leaf flower for 13 days. The process of transforming into a banshee was very complicated. Jessica's explanation was very detailed, but Chen Zhao only understood a little. Jessica, write me a report of the process. Yes, Living Lord. If there are any special materials that can only be found in the infernal realm, mark them down. It would be best if you can prepare a few portions for me. Do you need a way to control the banshee? My men are loyal enough to me. I don't really need them. Chen Zhao didn't really want to use this method to control Pamela. Living Lord, how many demonesses do you want to transform? The transformation process sounds very complicated. I don't plan on making many. Living Lord, if you have enough spirit subordinates, you can consider transforming one into a shrieking banshee, like me. Then you can transform some regular banshees. Transform into something like you? Are you sure you can transform them directly? Living Lord, even shrieking banshees have different levels of power. I'm already 1,200 years old, so the shrieking banshees you just transformed can't reach my level. Jessica was a mid-level demon. Regular spirits couldn't compare to her. Of course, she didn't have physical attacks, but her soul attacks were probably at the same level as Blackie's. Okay, then we'll do as you say. I'll give you the specific transformation process. If there's anything you don't understand, you can summon me. After all, you have my demonic ritual implement. Okay. After Chen Zhao received the banshee transformation process that Jessica had copied for him, it was time. He left the infernal realm and returned to the human world. On the second day, Chen Zhao went to the headquarters of the association. One of you call Pamela over. A while later, Pamela arrived before Chen Zhao. President, you're looking for me? This is for you. Chen Zhao handed a magic scroll to Pamela. Haven't you been trying to transform into a banshee? This is the specific process. Take a look and ask Wes for the materials you need. If Wes doesn't have them, tell me. Pamela was shocked. Shrieking banshee? Yes, a high-level banshee, Chen Zhao said. There shouldn't be a problem with the process. I got it from another high-level shrieking banshee. There are real shrieking banshees in the world. You don't have to worry about that. Hurry up and increase your power. After all, you're the backbone of the supernatural organization. But your presence has always been weak. You can't even use the Tower of Trials. Also, choose some obedient female evil spirits and transform them into regular banshees. Yes, President. I'll give you the method to control banshees, but don't cause any trouble. Pamela didn't dare to do anything before Chen Zhao. In her opinion, Chen Zhao could turn her into a shrieking banshee, and also give her the method to control them without reservation. This meant that Chen Zhao had a better way to control them. Pamela originally thought that banshees couldn't be killed, but now she didn't think so. Chen Zhao had killed many monsters. For example, Demon King Abaddon. He was the messenger of plagues and diseases. He was many levels higher than banshees, but Chen Zhao still killed him just like that. Chen Zhao could probably kill a mere banshee if he wanted to. Oh West, how's the magic potion going? I've gathered most of the materials. Now I just need the bones of magical creatures. Chen Zhao took out the bones of a magical creature. This skeleton might have been more powerful than Chen Zhao when it was alive. Even though it was just a skeleton, it still gave off a chilling aura. Oh President, Halise seems a bit off these 2 days when you weren't here. What happened to her? Is she sick? Not sick, West said. She seems to be affected by Nasamara's all. Ever since she used it, she's been having nightmares. She seems to be haunted by something. After all, they were spiritualists, so they knew that certain things existed. Chapter 1061. West brought Chen Zhao to Heliai's room. Alice and Norma were with Heliai's. Heliai's was in a bad state. Her eyes were lifeless. Of course, the smoky makeup that she usually put on didn't look energetic either. President. When the 3 girls saw Chen Zhao and West walk in, they immediately stood up. Heliai's, I heard that you're not in a good state, so I came to see you, Chen Zhao said. Alice, Norma, are you here to take care of Heliai's? We're here to check on her, Alice said. I want to see her dream, Norma said. Maybe I can find the problem in her dream. Did you find it? Norma shook her head. No, I can't see through the mist in her dream. Norma's nightmare bloodline gave her the ability to peek into other people's dreams. However, this ability wasn't omnipotent. Not everyone's dream could be seen. Chen Zhao walked up to Heliai's and said gently, Don't resist. Okay. Chen Zhao tapped Heliai's forehead with his finger. Go to sleep. Instantly, a wave of sleepiness surged and Heliai sank into a strong drowsiness. She closed her eyes and fell asleep on the bed. Chen Zhao waited by Heliai's side for half an hour, but Heliai's didn't react at all. At least, Chen Zhao's cursed eye didn't react at all. If Heliai's was cursed, Chen Zhao would be able to feel it. However, Chen Zhao's cursed eye didn't react. This meant that Heliai's wasn't cursed. There were all kinds of magic in the world. Curses were only a small part. Chen Zhao shook his head. She's not cursed. It's not in the dream that disturbed her, Norma said. Maybe it's from the bloodline? Alice raised a point of view. President, there's a type of bloodline magic. When your strength reaches a certain level, the bloodline magic will activate, and you'll be able to see some scenes left behind by your ancestors in your bloodline. In essence, this power isn't a curse but an inheritance. However, not all inheritances are good. As the Encyclopedia of Magic, Alice offered her own opinion. But the effect of Naxamara's all is the result of using it, West said. I think we might have fallen into some kind of misunderstanding. Actually, this effect isn't caused by Naxamara's all. It's caused by Hallie's power reaching a certain level. Coincidentally, she saw some scenes, which made us think that Naxamara's all was sending her information. Actually, this information already existed in her. Now that you mention it, Guild Leader, I think it's possible. After all, Guild Leader, Norma, Gaia, and Henry have all used the Naxamara all before. But none of them had any special effects. Chen Zhao thought for a moment and said, But what kind of message are the things hidden in Helis' bloodline sending? President, West asked seriously, looking at Chen Zhao. Can you be sure that Helis isn't cursed? Sure. Chen Zhao nodded. Are you sure? Not only am I immune to all curses, but I can also devour all curses. To me, any curse is a source of mana. Do you have any objections? When everyone looked at Chen Zhao, their gazes changed. They had never heard of a spell that could be immune to all curses and devour them. This spell was like a god's spell. So far, the 4 pristine eyeballs that Chen Zhao had opened were the Eye of Curse, the Eye of Shadow, the Eye of Power, and the Eye of Lightning. Among them, the one that could increase his combat power the most was undoubtedly the Eye of Power. The other 3 pristine eyeballs didn't increase his combat power that much, but they were still very useful. The Eye of Curse could devour any curse to replenish his own mana. It was a perfect counter to curse-type enemies. The Eye of Shadow could see through all obscure and dark sights. Even if the enemy was invisible, they wouldn't be able to escape Chen Zhao's notice. The Eye of Lightning went without saying. It was the perfect counter to lightning-type enemies. West, if you have something to say, just say it. Since it's not a curse, there's an 80% chance that the information in Helis' bloodline has been opened, West said. This is called the Ancestors' Guidance, Alice added. Alice added, it's very likely that this information is useful. It's for the child to go to some ancestral land. That's right. That's probably Helis' situation right now. If she resists, this mental torture will haunt her for the rest of her life. Chen Zhao thought about it and glanced at Helis on the bed. Then he snapped his fingers. Wake up. Ah, Helis suddenly woke up from her dream. President. I saw it again. That scene. Countless people were thrown into the blood pool. Helis' face was pale, and there were tears in the corners of her eyes. Do you know where it is? Chen Zhao asked. The place in your dream. In the depths of the sea stars. There's a red star above. It's crossing the sky. Is there more information? Helis racked her brain to think. After a while Helis suddenly said, right, the moon. The moon rose from the sea. Those who are still alive, they are worshipping the moon. Just then Lisa walked in. President, maybe I know the general direction. Oh, you know? The red star crossing the sky should be referring to Comet Beidou's. It was first discovered in 1860 and is discovered every 159 years. The next time it appears is this year, and it will be in 4 days. As long as we establish the periodic trajectory of Comet Beidou's, we can know the position of the moon when Comet Beidou's appeared near Earth 6,000 years ago. Then, we can know the vertical line of the moon's rise and set. From there, we can calculate the location of the place that Helis mentioned. 4 days? What a coincidence. Chen Zhao frowned. It's not a coincidence, West said. Maybe it's all fate, or the result of a prophet's calculation. Then prepare and see who's willing to go, Chen Zhao said. President, do you mean mobilize everyone? No, just sign up. Those who want to go can go. Those who don't can stay at the headquarters. Of course, Lisa, you have to go. I'm planning to go too, Lisa said. Chapter 1062. Risa's treatment was clearly different from Helios's. Risa was still an outsider, but Helios was an official member. Although Helios was usually a loner, she had a good relationship with the girls in the association. Helios's loner was just that she didn't like to talk, but it didn't mean that she had to keep strangers away. Generally speaking, girls all had common topics to talk about. The reason why Helios was a loner was because of the environment she grew up in. In the past, she was alone. When she was in school, everyone thought that Helis was a weirdo. Even her teacher thought that she was an unhealthy girl. But here, everyone was like her. No one would reject her. Everyone was willing to be with her. They had common topics, common pursuits, and common interests. She didn't need to hide herself anymore. She didn't need to change herself by trying to fit in. She could be herself completely. The more outstanding she was, the more attention she would receive. This was her true home. She liked Chen Zhao, the association, and everyone here. A while later, Aduz ran in. President, I heard that you're going out to sea, right? I want to sign up. Sign up my ass. Just stay at the headquarters. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Pamela's at a critical moment. She needs someone to protect her. It's a very difficult mission. President, I know how to sail and sail, Aduz said. When I was young, I was a sailor. You don't have to worry about that. Just stay here and watch the house, Chen Zhao said firmly. Klaus and the others can sail too. No matter how Aduz pestered him, Chen Zhao rejected him firmly. After a few steps out of Helios' room, Gaia came to find him. Chen, I want to sign up this time. You stay here too, Chen Zhao said. Why? Watch the house. How can a dues do it alone? The association won't send anyone. A dues alone is enough. It's different. Pamela plans to transform me into a banshee. She won't be able to protect herself in the process. There'll always be a few restless ones in the evil spirit group. You need to stay and intimidate them. No room for negotiation? Chen Zhao nodded. Listen to me this time. All right. Chen Zhao called Klaus and his team into a room. Klaus, you need to come with us this time, Chen Zhao said. Okay, no problem. Gaia and Klaus' lightning squad were the only ones in the association who knew how to sail. If Klaus stayed in the society, he wouldn't be able to take care of Pamela, so Gaia had to stay. This time, they weren't going out for a vacation. They might have to go on a long voyage, so it was impossible for them to drive a yacht. Of course, they also needed professional sailors. Otherwise, they might not even be able to start the ship. Chen Zhao took out 6 strength potions and placed them on the table. This is a strength potion. It doesn't have any side effects. You will be able to reach the limits of the human body. Your strength, speed, and reflexes will all be greatly improved. As official members of the association, you should enjoy the benefits of the association. However, the magic potion is useless to you, so I specially prepared this for you. Of course, if you have to talk about the side effect, it should be that your appetite will increase by several times, or even 10 times. Klaus and his lightning team all stared at Chen Zhao with shining eyes. At this moment, they finally felt like they had truly become a member of the supernatural organization. This voyage might be dangerous, so you must have the ability to protect yourselves. President, we understand. From the moment we joined the supernatural organization, we knew what we were going to face. Okay, take the strength potion as soon as possible. Get used to the changes in your body in the next 2 days. We'll leave the day after tomorrow. Yes, President. Lauren, when are you and Winnip going back to Sacramento? You really want to chase me away? No, I want you to stay, Chen Zhao said. What? Lauren almost thought that he was deaf and had misheard Chen Zhao. Or was Chen Zhao hatching some earth-shattering scheme to keep him in L.A. forever? Lauren shuddered. Chen, stop joking. Winnip and I plan to leave tomorrow. We don't need you to send us. I might have to go on a business trip for a few days tomorrow. I hope you can stay for a few more days and keep Fei Lai company. Chen Zhao still revealed his goal. How many days are you going? I'm not sure. That's why I need you to keep Fei Lai company. So you're begging me, right? Don't threaten me with this. You don't want Fei Lai to be alone, right? Whatever, I'll let you go. Lauren pursed his lips. I'll reluctantly stay and take care of Fei Lai for a few days. Chen Zhao still had to make some arrangements for his work. Kohler, do you have time now? Chen Zhao called Kohler. Mr. Chen, I have time now. What's the matter? I'll treat you now. I have to go on a business trip in the next few days, so I'll treat you in advance. All right, then you can come over now. When Chen Zhao arrived at Kohler's house, Ruby was there too. Hey brother, you're here. Ruby walked up and bumped shoulders with Chen Zhao. Hey, your shoulders are so hard. If I had shoulders as hard as yours, I'd be invincible on the court. Did you just finish a match? You look so weak, Chen Zhao said. Yes, you can tell? Do you want me to relieve your soreness and tiredness? One session costs $100,000. That's so expensive. How's the effect? I can guarantee that you'll be in perfect condition. Mr. Chun, I called you here. Shouldn't you treat me first? There's no rush. You've been injured for 2 or 3 days, so there's no rush. Ruby's different. After the match, his lactic acid will be broken down by his cells. This will deplete the activity of his cells, so I'll treat him first. The better he'll recover. How about you give me free treatment this time? Ruby asked. I'll try the effect first. If it's good, I'll find you again in the next match. No, I always set a clear price. Plus, I'm confident in my abilities. If you don't believe me, then forget it. Don't expect me to treat you for free. Chen Zhao wasn't familiar with Ruby, so he obviously wouldn't treat him for free. Fine, $100,000, right? I'll take it. Damn, your asking price is too high. Chapter 1063. Ruby realized that white dots had started oozing out of his skin. These white dots were in the form of mucus and were very viscous. What is this mucus? Ruby wiped it with his hand. This is lactic acid, Chen Zhao said. Lactic acid is secreted by muscles during intense activity. It's also the reason for your soreness after intense exercise. But lactic acid will be used up by the cells. After it's used up, the soreness will also disappear. Is there a way to stop the secretion of lactic acid? There is, but you can't do that. Lactic acid secretion is necessary because it can repair the damage to your muscles. At the same time, it can remind your body of its load. Without lactic acid secretion, you might be able to become a Superman in a game, but after the game, your career will also end. Is it okay to force the lactic acid out now? Do you exercise now? Ruby shook his head. Chen Zhao continued. Also, I'm forcing out the lactic acid you secreted during the game. If you continue to exercise now, you'll still secrete lactic acid. I'm only forcing the extra lactic acid out of your body, not stopping it. I understand. Does that mean that you can help me relieve my tiredness every time it ends? Chen Zhao pinched Ruby's biceps and said, It depends on the situation. Lactic acid isn't harmful. If you ran the entire race, it's not suitable to force it out. Also, I can give you a diet that can greatly increase your post-race recovery. Sure, how much? I don't need your money, but you have to promise me one thing. You better ask for money, Ruby answered Chen Zhao, not daring to answer casually. After all, he didn't know what Chen Zhao's request was. Although he wasn't very smart, he knew that some things couldn't be easily agreed to. I'm a professor at UCLA. My school will have a sports competition soon. I'm the leader of the team. You can go and teach a few lessons for my school's basketball team. The NBA represented the highest level of basketball in the world. Basketball players who could enter the NBA, even if they were just substitutes, were considered top players in other competitions. Moreover, Ruby was a top star in the NBA. Therefore, Chen Zhao believed that if Ruby could teach a few lessons for the basketball club, if he told them his experience, they would grow a lot. Just a few classes? Of course, I won't ask you to do anything else. Outside of training and games, Ruby said. No problem. Sure, do I need to sign a contract? No, it's a verbal agreement, Chen Zhao said. But I've never been a good person. I hate it when people break their promises. Of course I understand. It's just a few lessons. I won't go so far as to break my promise. After treating Ruby to relieve muscle fatigue, Chen Zhao treated Kohler. Chen Zhao had treated Kohler once before, so Kohler was familiar with it. After leaving Kohler's house, he went straight home. He told Fei Lai that he would be away for a few days. The next day, Chen Zhao went to school again. Robert, I found a professional player. In 2 days, he will come over to the school to guide the basketball club players. He will contact you when he comes. You will be responsible for the arrangements. Understood, Mr. Chen. Ever since Robert was taught a lesson by Chen Zhao, he behaved like a grandson before Chen Zhao. Actually, Robert was Chen Zhao's punishment to warn the others. The people in school were usually polite to him, but there weren't many who truly obeyed him. Many PE teachers in the sports department objected to Wright's decision to make Chen Zhao the team leader. If Chen Zhao hadn't taught him a lesson, Robert would have been dead. If Chen Zhao hadn't taught him a lesson, more coaches and PE teachers would probably band together to pressure the school. By then, Wright would probably be forced to remove Chen Zhao as the team leader. Chen Zhao didn't care about being the team leader, but he didn't like being chased away. Ever since Chen Zhao taught Robert a lesson in a domineering manner, he had a nickname. Chen Zhao also had a nickname, Tyrant. Of course, those who had formed an alliance in secret had also ceased all activities. However, Chen Zhao felt that this nickname suited him quite well. Just then Chen Zhao saw Tiger walk over. Hi Mr. Chen. Tiger, congratulations. You won last year's WBA championship belt. Chen Zhao walked over and patted Tiger's arm. Mr. Chen, it's all because of your training. Tiger was successful now. However, he knew that it was all because of Chen Zhao's help that he could achieve what he had today. Of course, he also knew that he didn't have the right to betray Chen Zhao. The consequences of betraying Chen Zhao were very serious. Chen Zhao's achievements weren't as simple as crippling Douglas. Chen Zhao had crippled or killed more than a dozen underground dealers right in front of him. Tiger could still clearly remember what happened that night. Even though Tiger was the new boxing champion now, he wouldn't be so naive to think that he was Chen Zhao's match. Even Gaia might not be able to beat him, let alone Chen Zhao. Tiger, why are you here? Tiger hadn't finished his studies yet, but he'd already taken a year off. The principal told me to come back. She told me that you're the team leader for the sports meet, and also wants me to participate in the boxing competition. There's a boxing competition in the sports meet. Chen Zhao asked in shock, his mouth open. Yes, the boxing competition this time has sponsors, and is being broadcasted on TV. It's quite big too. Chen Zhao didn't expect the American University sports meet to be so commercialized. Other than that, the swimming competition seems to have sponsors too. Tiger also knew that Evely had been trained by Chen Zhao. Tiger hoped that he could become the next Evely, the new legend of the boxing world. A new legend in the boxing world. To achieve this goal, he needed Chen Zhao's support. Have you been training at school recently? Yes. Tiger nodded. Mr. Chen, do you have time to train me? Not these days, Chen Zhao said. I'm going out for a few days. Let's talk when I come back. Okay. Oh, some people in school aren't satisfied with me as the team leader. Help me keep an eye on them. Mr. Chen, I'll help you teach those blind bastards a lesson. Tiger was the leader of the boxing club, and the students in school. Not many people dared to argue with him. No need. Just write it down for me. I'll teach them a lesson when I come back. Okay, got it. Just then, Chen Zhao saw Li Qiong not far away. There was another girl beside her. She should also be a student. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.